Holy crap, Lindsey Graham is dead. Just like that. It's like we have to start it off like the beginning of A Christmas Carol. Graham was dead. No, no, what is it? No doubt could be about it or something. God, you know what? My Dixon is a little rusty, so maybe somebody else can deal with it for me and throw it in the chat. We'll get the quote right. But look, of course, this is what are the odds with Barnes and Baris. Barnes will be joining us any second here. Look, the lighting's messed up. I gotta ask you guys a question. Is there not something wrong with our system of government when the only way we can get rid of these entrenched dinosaurs who have done... You cannot celebrate somebody's death, guys, while at the same time not pretending when they die that they were these like great folk heroes and wonderful people. Because we're just at a point in our country where the country is in dire straits and we really can't afford to go through these little charades, or as they love to say in the ruling class, these little charades. All right. We don't have time for this crap. The guy never put anybody but himself first. The net worth is a lie because he hid his money. All right. Like this is nuts. He never put the people of South Carolina first, and he only survived because of threats, raw political power, and the ability to raise an ungodly amount of money from Rand Corporation and other military-industrial complex lobbyist groups. I mean, this is nuts. I'm just not going to play these games. We'll talk about this. It does change the Senate forecast. It does. And Trump's decision to put Darlene in that seat until the end of the term because he controls Henry McMaster is a disgustingly stupid decision. Like, I don't know what else. I shouldn't have to come on this program and tell you guys why this is completely asinine, a gross political miscalculation, and basically and against everything Donald Trump said that he stood for. But we'll get into this. Of course, you're watching What Are the Odds with Barnes and Baris. You can follow Barnes. All the links are below at Barnes Law on X, sportspicks.locals.com. And of course, me, the best place right there. Also locals, peoplespundit.locals.com, peoplespundit.locals.com, at peoples_pundit on X. And of course, come in hot on the gram. The link is there as well. You look, there's a little scanning thing right here. If you haven't bought Burn It Down, I think you need to pre-order Burn It Down because, of course, Joshua Lizak and I, we're literally arguing and Burn It Down every day. The thesis of this book becomes more prescient. Every day the thesis gets verified, becomes more and more demonstrably true. I mean, can you get more and more demonstrably true? I'm not sure. Can you? Because of the definition of demonstrably, which is to mean provable, to prove, to be provable. I don't know. All I know is that I wish the book was out, not for pre-order, but literally out right now so everyone can read it. We literally explain to people that the neocons will die. It will be a sudden surprise. It will be extremely fast. The way that this country will change because of generational change will be radical and dramatic. And if real MAGA is not available for people to choose, they will choose Democratic Socialists of America. That is literally what the book is about. And it's got more data than you could possibly want to digest in one book while trying to make it easy for people to understand. And this is my last attempt to convince boomers that you cannot continue like this because you're screwing your children and your grandchildren. Your generational myths that you believe about millennials and Generation Z are wrong. They are incorrect, just as many of the myths that believe about Generation X and boomers are wrong. People may not know, but millennials are actually the largest group in the electorate as a share of the voting eligible population. They just don't vote at high rates right now. But guess what? It won't matter when the boomers die. Silent gens are already down to 7-8%. And when boomers start to die, they turn 80 this year, the oldest of them. It will happen very quickly. The Lindsey Grahams of the world and the people that I saw fake MAGA, wannabe MAGA all the last 24 hours, maybe we should replace them with Nikki Haley. Maybe we should replace them with Trey Gowdy. You obviously don't understand And there's something really, really wrong with the system, folks, when we can't remove these dinosaurs like him and like Mitch McConnell because the money is so badly entrenched in our system. The lobby has captured the democratic process. And God love him, but Donald Trump was supposed to be your champion against this. And instead, he ensures that Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene, who has no experience, she works as a voc rehab officer. She has zero experience in this world. People do know Darlene. She's a very nice woman. That is irrelevant. The country is collapsing. It's literally in dire straits. We don't have time for these damn games, these nepotism games. We just had two viable people. You know what? Let me bring in Robert. Robert, we just had two viable people run for this seat. They kept Graham, a 24-year veteran of the U.S. Senate. They kept him below 60% with Donald Trump's endorsement. And by the way, he first rode into Capitol Hill in the 1994 Republican Revolution in the House, then ran for Senate in 2002 with the wave in the 9/11 Republican wave, midterm wave. And he couldn't get 60% of the vote despite having tens of millions of dollars and Donald Trump's endorsement. So what does the brain trust in the Republican Party? What do they conclude? What does Donald Trump himself conclude after Graham dies? Maybe we should put Darlene in there. Not one of the two guys that can move the party forward, that have fresh ideas. And Dan's was a generational candidate. I don't know I really don't know what else to scream into the bullhorn to get people to understand. You want socialists to run this country? Do you want socialists to run this country? Because that's what's going to happen. Mamdani is a preview. He is not an exception. He is the preview of what is to come in the mainstream Democratic Party. And guess what? Because MAGA failed voters, guess what? They'll vote for them. This is going to happen. Watching this shit is really it just struck a nerve, Robert. I don't know, brother. What do you think? By the way, love the sign behind you. It's dope.
Yeah. The made by one of the board members.
I need a breath, man.
My general take on the replacement for those that are not aware, the governor of South Carolina who owes his governorship to President Trump and supporting Trump in the 2016 primary when he was lieutenant governor, and the governor Nikki Haley had endorsed Marco Rubio for the Republican nomination in South Carolina in 2016. It wasn't enough to help Rubio. In fact, Trump would succeed and win anyway. It was a big wake-up call because Trump, in the South Carolina Republican primary, gave his most anti-war, anti-Bush Republican Party presentation that he had up until that point in the Republican Party nomination, and the assumption by the institutional media across the media landscape. So I remember watching it live. Didn't matter whether you're looking at CNN, Fox, CBS, was that Trump's arguments in the South Carolina Republican presidential debate of 2016. I encourage people to go back and watch it. You can find it on.
Please do.
Yeah, YouTube, a lot of other places. Was that Trump was DOA, and some of us said no, that guaranteed Trump's winning South Carolina because the South Carolina Republican primary electorate had radically shifted. Yep. It was not the boomercon, military, pro-war, arch-conservative state of Strom Thurmond of 1988. Nope. It was over half the people who vote in the South Carolina Republican primary are not from the state of South Carolina. Many of them, particularly in the eastern part of the state, especially Horry County, but not limited to Horry County. Well, I should give some backdrop before we get to that. Historically, South Carolina was split between the Low Country, which was Charleston, Old Money, and part of the Black Belt on the Democratic side. Then you got up to the Columbia, the capital, which had a mixture of instincts, political trends over the years, but that was generally leaned institutional conservative with some populist streaks. You go up the coast, you get up to Horry County, Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach was generally a relatively underpopulated compared to, say, Low Country or Columbia, working class beach resort. Myrtle Beach was kind of like NASCAR country. It was where blue collar folks went to vacation, but it was still predominantly South Carolinians. Then you get into the PD, and you get in sort of the northern central part of the state. Then you get into the upcountry. And the PD and the upcountry were split between two strong instincts. One was a heavy manufacturing bias it had a strong populist streak, but not as strong as it was in, say, Piedmont, North Carolina, or northwestern Georgia, or Middle Tennessee, or northeastern Alabama. Populists struggled to win the state of South Carolina, but they could be competitive. But then you got to the upcountry, and it was split between two strong groups: working class, old school working class textile mill folks, and that were represented by the Fritz Hollings of the world, and the Bob Jones University evangelical Christian independent Baptist, because Bob Jones University is literally located there in Greenville, South Carolina. So, but beginning in the 1990s and trending all the way to the 2020s, there has been a consistent and dramatic shift at two levels. One, a lot of those working class whites never voted in the Republican presidential primary outside of your hardcore evangelicals. So they were voting Democratic primaries throughout the 90s, throughout the 2000s.
Right.
It was, in fact, the first time they entered the Republican presidential primary in South Carolina in substantial numbers were 2012. And that's why Gingrich surprised everybody, because he ran as more of the rebellious candidate rather than the old South Carolina votes for Mitt Romney. New South Carolina voted for Newt Gingrich.
Right.
And that's why I knew when I was putting out wagers for people in the 2016 Republican presidential primary and watched that debate and Trump roast the military establishment, roast the Bushites, basically say, in South Carolina, George W. Bush should be impeached, should have been impeached for lying us into war. He lied, and the tower fell. Remember all that?
Remember Pitt Hume's analysis? Well, I think Donald Trump's campaign is over tonight. They love George W. Bush in South Carolina. And people like Robert and I were just pissing our pants laughing. Like, are you kidding me? This guy is going to crush everybody.
Exactly. That was when he won the South Carolina primary because of who had now voted in that primary.
Yeah.
What had happened and this has accelerated since 2016, up in Horry County and throughout the Low Country. But in Horry County, there's been a massive in-migration of working class northern whites, heavily Catholic. I remember I was telling a mutual friend of ours yesterday, he was looking at the race. It's like, I remember when being Catholic in South Carolina was a way to get yourself run out of town and tarred and feathered. Yeah. Now it's a way to get yourself votes in large parts of the state.
Which Paul Dans was, by the way. I just want to say.
Correct.
A Catholic.
Yeah, exactly. He's a Catholic who grew up in the working class industrial North. That's what many of the Republican voters in Horry County are.
That's who they are, bro.
Exactly. So that's what a lot of people don't understand. Charleston itself has changed. You know, it used to be, and it still has a streak of this, old money South, country club South, Savannah kind of South, a little bit of, let's just say a little bit of Lindsey Graham kind of South. In terms of some of the personalities, you might say, and lifestyle behaviors, but behind closed doors. But what has changed is you've got a lot of middle class professionals and business folks that have moved into Charleston from the North and the Midwest. So it's no longer old Charleston alone. It's a very diverse, low country. It's the kind of place that will produce Nancy Mace for Congress.
Look at that vote share in 2020, by the way. Look at that.
Exactly.
This is where the future is, brother. In this state.
Exactly. The coastal part of the state has drastically and dramatically changed over the last quarter century in particular in South Carolina. Yet the central part of the state, the increasing liberal democratic trends of the university towns and the government bureaucracies it shows up in Columbia. But surrounding it, you've got, some old independent, Freedom Party, Tea Party style republicanism. Then you get into, and you have the PD up north, which is sort of a hybrid between the two. Then you get into the upcountry. The textile mills have taken a lot of hits. They've faded over time. You've got evangelical conservatives and Tea Party conservatives. So you've got different populist streaks in different parts of the state. But the driving part is the coastal regions, which is not representative of Strom Thurmond, South Carolina, will now finish third in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Fritz Holland, South Carolina, will now finish second in South Carolina. The Trump 2016 and Trump 2024 will finish first in South Carolina. Graham had been underwhelming in multiple primaries and general elections since 2014. He was able to eke out this time around.
Yeah.
And but
it was a very poor performance, Robert. Let me put it up while you're
against
talking.
a weak opponent.
This is pathetic.
He's as our polling, as Baris Richard's polling data showed, he had a very low floor. So most people in South Carolina really didn't know much about Graham. They knew his name. And then otherwise, there was about 40% or so of the vote that would never vote for him. And the people in between mostly just didn't know a lot about him. And it was one of the weaknesses of the Lynch campaign that it failed to make that point. You had people who had very favorable opinions of Tucker Carlson voting for Lindsey Graham.
Yep.
You had people who had very favorable opinions of Candace Owens voting for Lindsey Graham.
Alex Jones
voting for Lindsey Graham.
We did this, guys, just so you understand what Barnes was talking about. This is the stuff that we were polling that you guys didn't really get to see, and that's told us whether or not their message was resonating. Did they reach these people? And it was. You know what? At this point, I'm not sure, Robert, if it matters if I show the polling data anymore. But like, you could see Trump's endorsement, as now we see with the results. My polling was correct. It didn't have this huge impact because people were just tired of Graham. The problem was they didn't have the right message. And then let me just real quick before I throw it back to Barnes. This is where Graham is from. Lynch is also from, if you remember the definitions I was just showing on the screen, what's called the upcountry. Robert was explaining to you was the upcountry. The reason why I backed Paul Dans, and initially Robert did as well, before he left the race, which he should have stayed in just to draw votes away from Graham to keep him under 50, but whatever, don't listen to me. The upcountry, it doesn't have enough votes anymore to fight for a Republican primary in the upcountry if you're both from there. Because if you had no low country and PD appeal, PD, Horry County, low country, Charleston, okay? If you had no low country and or PD appeal, which Paul Dans had, he had low country appeal, then you would be left fighting 50-50 in the upcountry with Graham for votes, and then he was going to kill you in central, PD, and low country South Carolina. And then it doesn't matter if it's not a good performance. It doesn't matter. It would be enough for Graham to hold on. Less than 57% of the vote, guys, for a 24-year Senate incumbent is pathetic. It's not much better than John Cornyn. It's just that Paxton was a better candidate. He had a better message. He had better name ID. It's not. It's just that he got a free ride, and the party, unfortunately, didn't back Dans. Like, not enough donors who hate Graham came in and gave Dans enough money, even though Dans was there for them with Project 2025. Dans was there for them when they needed a lawyer to run down to Georgia with Barnes to dispute the election results in Georgia. It was Barnes and Dans in a friggin' empty office with a skeleton crew because nobody wanted to touch it. This is ultimately the problem and why MAGA is dead. And I'm going to say this and then throw it to you, Robert. This movement is filled with grifters. They were only ever concerned about their own personal wealth and their own, how much they could make while Donald Trump was in power. They were only ever concerned about how much access they could get while Donald Trump was ever in power. It was never about winning. And it was like breaking my heart yesterday on Twitter, watching people who followed us for a long time, even people who were like, have been dismissive of us over the last year, come to grips with this. Because they were seeing people that they were listening to over us say things like, if the Senate was filled with a bunch of Lindsey Grahams, we could get this is just unserious shill talk. Unserious. And it was shining through for everybody to see. Who was the other person they brought up? The other two? Nikki Haley and Trey Gowdy. I mean, brother, like, if you want to continue to lose, if you want Mamdani to be your president 10 years from now, like, keep up with this crap. Like, you're not serious about winning. You're not serious about saving the country. You're not serious about shifting the Overton window. You're not serious about preserving the future for your kids and your grandkids. It's that simple. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah. And Trump was making inroads, or the sort of Trump 2024 coalition was making serious inroads into the low country and Horry County and PD and that part of South Carolina, including it within.
Pickens, bro, black vote in Pickens was disgustingly high.
Yeah, I mean, the Trump was doing very good with making serious inroads within the Southern black belts.
Yep.
And so this is where Jim Clyburn is from. Jim Clyburn has incredible powers in South Carolina, so much so that the Republicans were unwilling to redistrict him out of his congressional district. Yeah. So that's the strength of him. You've got an old political establishment inside the state, and you've got a new voter group emerging that is mostly unrepresented in large parts of the state's establishment and institutional representation. And, McMaster had the opportunity to pursue a more Trumpian agenda as governor. He was kind of a meh governor. Most people don't even remember what he did, really. Yep. Now, he's gone and nominated. I don't personally mind it, primarily because the alternatives were worse. In other words, by putting Graham's sister in, she is highly unlikely to run, unless you know something I don't. And I would have preferred someone like Paul Dans be put in. I knew he wouldn't pick Nancy Mace because of the Epstein vote, which is stupid on Trump's part. And he might have considered Ralph Norman, who's got a pretty good record on a lot of key issues. But given that his choice was likely either her or Nikki Haley or Trey Gowdy, I was like, okay, I'm okay in that instance with her. She's an improvement over Gowdy and Haley because she's not likely to run for office. I will say this. Don't be surprised at her going completely AWOL. You have somebody, what's her motivation to play ball? Is it that they're going to promise some money at the end of the day? They're going to promise some easy, I don't get that impression. These are the kind of people that become Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court.
Yep.
So don't be surprised if she goes completely different.
Voc rehab specialist. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what that means, it means people who are like disabled or otherwise unemployable. She finds them jobs, usually within the state government itself or some. This is a social worker on steroids, brother. Okay. Yeah. This is a social worker on steroids who's the sister of a closeted gay man who was a senator for 24 years in the state. Guys, I really just don't have the patience to be nice or the patience for any of this anymore. Like, I'm not going to play this charade. She's not going to get the money out of those Eastern European bank accounts, which everyone's, his net worth is so low. Right, because the Pentagon was looking into weird money deposits in East. God, bro, nobody says this. He's like, these are all rumors. They're not rumors. They're open secrets. Thank God Donald Trump won the presidency. Or otherwise, Lindsey Graham may have had some real problems, brother, if it was a Democratic president. Looking into why do these people continuously fund these things? Why are they like senators of other countries instead of their own states? Like, this is stuff that people were looking into. He got lucky. Donald Trump won. All right. And Donald Trump stayed and remained his friend. She has no incentive here, brother, to be MAGA. She has no incentive to represent the people of South Carolina because, of course, the people of South Carolina have never voted for her. In fact, her brother barely won a primary. This is like what people don't understand. You could look at that vote share, guys, and say, well, he won with 57%. For a 24-year incumbent, 57% with the most powerful endorsement in the history of modern politics is pathetic. Pathetic. She's not stepping in here, guys, with like some obligation to put you first. Zero. In fact, she has zero obligation. I understand what you're saying, Robert. It's just the right thing to do here would have been for McMaster to call for an election. We just had credible candidates who could have filled this slot. Or like you said, put Ralph in there. Ralph is a decent guy. I mean, this is just crazy. We're doing this for nepotism and legacy BS, and we just don't have time for this. We just don't.
Well, reality is that's where I know some people were optimistic otherwise. But there was really no reason to believe Trump was going to make the right choice. It was only going to make how bad a choice was he going to make.
But there are people in the White House who were like, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." And when they did do it, I was like, "Bing, bing, 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 bing." My text message, "Bing, bing, bing." Oh my God! I don't understand how he doesn't see how bad that. I'm like, well, it's your job to tell him how bad it looks. It's your job.
He's busy rug pulling Vance's deal and going back to war with Iran. I mean,
That's why I think so many people are just done at this point, brother.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, put it this way: I have no confidence in Trump at all. I mean, he's proven that he's not capable of making politically smart decisions. That's where I just look at what's the worst thing he could do. Let's try to avoid that. Unfortunately, that's where we're at.
Northam did endorse Haley, by the way. Somebody just texted me that, and that's the White House's issue with him. Okay, you know what? And guess what? Ashley Hinson in Iowa is the reason Nikki Haley carried Johnson County. She's literally the one who organized the same-day registration drives for Democrats to make sure that they would caucus in Johnson County and cost Donald Trump a 99-county sweep. That was her entire goal in the Iowa caucus, yet he just endorsed her. I'm just, no, it's just
I will say this.
There's
at least a chance with her. Maybe she'll positively surprise us. Because, I mean, she's got almost no portfolio. I mean, that would be my favorite part.
I hope I'm wrong.
If she becomes a harsh reversal of Lindsey Graham's policies. Wouldn't that be sweet? Wouldn't that be? I mean, likely, no. But wouldn't it be great? She's like, brother, you know what? My brother was always an idiot. He didn't know what he was doing. All his war politics are ridiculous. Trump's lost his mind. That would be sweet. That would be. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But it's like right out of a Hollywood script or something.
She owes herself. She owes, like, just for people who don't know, their parents died when she was still not even a teenager. He was like 17. He was basically her parental figure. It is a very interesting story. I mean, look, Graham's story is an interesting story. And for those of us who knew the guy, he's a nice guy. You would get along with him. I don't want to come up here and trash his legacy, but the fact of the matter is, I'm tired. What does it say about us as a country, Robert, that every time one of these guys dies, we all have to put out these nice statements that are just total bullshit? The guy never put his constituents first. He managed the decline of our country. He was literally in office from the House to the Senate while we had the peace dividend and blew it on every stupid war we could. Now we're $40 trillion in debt. He is the ruling class that wasted the U.S. unipolar superpower status, which is the first of its kind in the history of the world. He's literally a key part of the ruling class that did that while the wealth gap grew, while the wealth gap expanded, while the middle class was hollowed out, while our industry was sent overseas, while every stupid foreign war for Israel was started, while we killed, maimed, and raped hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Middle Eastern people. We have no business being in their business over, with the exception of Lindsey Graham's donors wanted those wars, with the exception of Likud sends money to Lindsey Graham's friends. Like, that's it. Like, this is the worst possible kind of guy in our era. He's literally the reason millennials are struggling, dying. I mean, I just am tired of every time this happens, Robert.
Isn't it
George Bush has to lay in state for 2 freaking days. George Bush's lie cost us control for 10 years and literally led to trifecta government. If it wasn't for the Republican Revolution, we'd have had Hillary care. I'm just tired of this dance they do. It's Rome, Robert. This is Rome. You know what I mean? It's very Romanesque. Not the Republic either.
Yeah, it's fascinating seeing people act like Graham had a deep well of support in South Carolina. He really did not. There aren't going to be tons of people really mourning or sad or upset at his passing. He's not Fritz Hollings. He's not Strom Thurmond. No. He's not these old school South Carolina senators who had a deep reservoir of support and affection. No matter how controversial their policies or politics might have been. Now, no matter how much they may have grown out of touch with their voters, like Thurmond did towards the end, like Fritz Hollings did towards the end. There was a deep reservoir of support and and appreciation and affection. Lindsey Graham never had that. It hasn't had it for more than a decade since he became Amnesty Graham in 2014. The combination of propagating all the wars, one of the lead advocates for the war in Iraq.
House right now. I don't know why. I just got a message. The FBI is at Lindsey Graham's house right now.
Yeah, they're attempting to say there's no problem. Well, you know what they're there for, actually. Yeah. They're there to make sure that certain things are out of that.
That's right. They're
right. They're not there to investigate whether somebody whacked him. They're making sure the wrong files aren't sitting around and the wrong things sitting around. I mean, there's still rumors about maybe he died in Kiev because of his little hobbies and habits there.
What
And they had to
do you
stick him
think
on the
about that?
military plane and had to bring him back. Well, Larry Johnson's detailed that his original itinerary doesn't make sense with him dying at his house. That he
Gronk
would have
says,
not even got back to D.C. until after 9 p.m.
yeah,
And that there were rumors
weird.
and people were taught whispers out of the Pentagon saying that he died in Kiev. And not because the Russians do, contrary to the conventional wisdom, they've gone out of their way, or the caricature of Putin, they've gone out of their way not to make decapitation strikes.
It would be uncharacteristic of Vladimir Putin to kill Lindsey Graham.
Correct.
Although
he's avoided killings. I mean, they had him under indictment. But and he was about to push through his massive Russian sanctions that would make the economy 10 times worse. I mean, Trump just keeps compounding errors. But he was known for having certain hobbies and habits. You can just, Google Keir Starmer Ukraine models and get a sense of what it might have looked like. And it would not surprise me. Remember, he had that really young kid with him that looked kind of weird. I was like, that looks like an old, what's his name special? Dennis Hastert special there.
I got this reporter who knows I saw something and who has been busting my balls for like 2 years. Like, just go on the record. Just go. Yeah, okay. Sure. And they're like, but yeah, I do know. I do. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Those aren't rumors. They're not rumors, guys. No. And it's like the worst thing about it is you can go to DC and everyone knows, like, they're not rumors. It's just that he's one of those very, very likable dudes who had an IOU with everybody. So he played the game amazingly good.
Well, and there's no better example of that than how he goes from being one of the most vicious and vile critics of Trump through 2016.
Yes.
You refused to vote for him and told people not to vote for him in 2016. You voted for, Evan McMuffin, or that CIA spook out of Utah.
Yeah.
Not so quietly supported his impeachment in 2020. Yep. Turned against the January 6 people, was the lead advocate against them.
Yep.
Lobbied against him behind the scenes in 2024, despite endorsing him. But he sweet-talked Trump. He suckered and sapped Trump. That gives you an idea of his He didn't have rhetorical skills. He didn't have policy skills. He didn't, despite Trump's delusions on this, have cross-party skills. Yeah. He was a deep state military advocate to the core. But what he really was good at was interpersonal skills with certain kinds of elite people and population. That's what he could sweet talk them like a caddy who learned it on the golf course on the country club.
Brother, I just got a text. Somebody's watching, and they literally just gave me his grinder. Now
yeah, I mean, that was very well known.
That's his handle on grind. Yeah, dude. Yes, I mean, everybody knows it. I mean, come on.
And my guess is not that Russia took him out or anything like that. Most likely, he had a heart attack doing some activities that were stressful or that could be physically cause some stress. And the net effect of it was they didn't want him humiliated, and America humiliated by Lindsey Graham, caught with someone he shouldn't necessarily be with and having a heart attack in that setting. So they stuck him on this is my guess, that they stuck him on the medvac plane, flew him back, and that's how he got back earlier than his regular flight would have got back. That's my best guess. Now, to two things on his legacy. Legacy policy-wise is horrendous. One of the worst public officials, in my view, in American history. Has led to the deaths of millions of people around the world.
Yeah,
is one of the principal people responsible for the Ukraine war that's ongoing right now. One of the principal people responsible for the wars in Iraq, Syria, Libya, Lebanon. One of the principal people responsible for the current war in Iran. Without Lindsey Graham, Trump probably never gets snookered and suckered into going into Iran. Yeah. One of the principal people responsible for the devastation and destruction of the Bush 2004 coalition and the Trump 2024 coalition.
Sir. Yes, sir.
So when I found out he died, let's just say I'll be blunt. I was happy. It was the best news I'd received in weeks. And I know that people are like, how can you do this? Like, didn't we celebrate the death of like the Ayatollah and other people who've caused far less mayhem than Lindsey Graham? There's no love lost there. He joined John McCain in hell where he belongs.
You're an Islamist. You're an Islamist, Robert Barnes.
Yeah, exactly.
Islamo-fascist.
His policy legacy is a disastrous one, and it will go down as that in time. His personal impact is that the deep state, the neocons, the military-industrial complex, the war whores, the Israel lobby, the Ukraine lobby, all of them took a massive hit because Graham was uniquely skilled, especially with Trump, at getting Trump to do dumb and ludicrous things overseas.
Yes, that's
the way in which he worm-tongued his way into Trump's brain is something right out of Lord of the Rings. And he was the number one person getting Trump to do dumber and dumber and dumber things in foreign policy, often in domestic policy as well.
Well, let's face it. Let's wait. Before we give up on Graham here, it has to be said, and I remember all the wannabes saying that was what I was saying wasn't true. It was true. Graham and other Israel lobby senators held up the passage of the BBB until Donald Trump okayed some degree to their satisfaction of military action against the Iranian regime, and which was manifested in the form of the strikes that are now Operation Midnight Hammer that Donald Trump okayed, that supposedly at that time dismantled and destroyed Iran's nuclear weapon capabilities, right, with the Fordo and the other two sites. Of course, less than a year later, we're out talking about how they're going to have a bomb in 5 minutes again if we don't get into the world's dumbest war ever, in what is probably the biggest political betrayal ever in the history of American politics. And that's Lindsey Graham. That you want Lindsey Graham's legacy? That's Lindsey Graham's legacy. That's his real legacy. And the BBB was never enough, Robert. That was never enough. And it didn't matter anyway, because Donald Trump was not elected to be a foreign policy president. He was elected to be a domestic issue president, to close the wealth gap, to lower inflation, to increase wages, to reinstate a goods producing economy, as he was well underway doing in his first term. Lindsey Graham is like the reason. And by the way, I can actually prove this, man. I mean, this is absolutely provable. They lost their generic ballot lead when Lindsey Graham got his way, when Lindsey Graham and the Israel lobby got their way. It didn't matter what other polls showed, guys. We were the pollster in 2024 that got the popular vote the closest. This is what the trend is on the generic ballot. Operation Midnight Hammer is right here. Republicans still had a 2-point lead on the generic ballot in May of 2025. He gives the Operation Midnight Hammer in July, and look what happens.
Well,
Republicans lose
probably
their lead.
probably appropriate, because that's probably how Lindsey Graham died, getting the Operation Midnight Hammer.
Oh, shit. Clip that. StreamYard, clip it. That's going in a short. Oh my God. I despise the guy. I'm not going to make any. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. There's people whose deaths you mourn even when you disagree with them, and there's people whose deaths you welcome because it made the world a better and a safer place by their passing. That's just who did morally horrendous things in positions of power, not based on their opinion, but morally horrendous things with power. We don't mourn Stalin's death. We don't mourn Hitler's death. We don't mourn Mao's death. We don't mourn any of these people. The Ayatollah, like you said before, we didn't mourn the Ayatollah. Now
we're not going to mourn
Graham to Ayatollah.
Exactly.
Yes. Are you kidding me? Yes.
Correct. And this is the guy who celebrated the murder of you could hate the Supreme Leader, but he celebrated the murder of his 4-year-old granddaughter. That's who Lindsey Graham was. He started getting, he started frothing at the mouth when he started talking about his lust for war. So as we get past Lady Lindsey, Queen of the War Whores, now back in hell where she belongs, the state of South Carolina, you look at this race, and this is an opportunity for the party to course correct, at least within the South Carolina Republican electorate. Merely Graham not being at the top of the ticket increases the chance Republicans now hold this seat. But it will depend on who it is they pick. And you got the neocon institutional conservative options of Nikki Haley and Trey Gowdy. You got the sort of more traditional Republican conservative, but not full war whore, and the people like Ralph Norman, and then the Congresswoman Nancy Mace. You've got Paul Dans and Mark Lynch. Which of those 6 do you think are going to run, and what would that look like? Because for those that don't know what the rules are, they got to set this up. They have to announce next week by the 28th. between the 21st
Yeah.
and the 28th. They have to announce. The election is going to be August 11th, and then a runoff August 25th. If enough people run, it's probably going to be a runoff again. And then, and given that there's a high chance of a runoff, it strikes me there's a decent chance. It incentivizes all of them to run because they all have capital they can lend to the other in case they finish third or below. That also increases the chance that any one of them could win. The more that are in, because Nikki Haley has statewide name recognition, but she ran against Trump. Another X factor here is Trump endorsing. I think if Trump endorsed a less known candidate like Paul Dance, it might provide real currency and show his own credibility and power.
This is a no-brainer.
But
Paul's wife
otherwise,
is
he
on
should
the
stay
board
out
of his favorite organization. He's been a stalwart supporter. Why? What negative does Paul Dance has? Because Chris LaCivita doesn't like him? Are you kidding me? Paul Dance was in Georgia trying to save your presidency while Chris LaCivita was calling for your arrest and impeachment. I mean, this is ridiculous. Nancy, I don't know, man. I mean, we could ask her, but if I'm Nancy, I'm thinking, do I run? Because I knew that it was going to give me a problem when I stood up for the Epstein victims, and I knew Trump was going to give me an issue. Trump's not going to give me his backing. So if you're Nancy, I mean, you're thinking about it, of course, but do you do it? Ralph, I think Ralph likes elected office. He's a good guy, by the way. I like Ralph personally. I like him. He's got a decent score. I think it's like an 86%.
He's got a good freedom score.
Yeah.
He's not great. He's not terrible. I mean,
he's not great. He's not terrible. Yeah. Mark, you definitely run if you're Mark. You have the money. Why don't you?
Right.
Mark
Lynch. I think the weakness for Lynch is that he got beat up a lot in this recent. He got beat up by Trump just recently. He got beat up. So the question, and then there's if he runs it this time, maybe not make the Islamists the biggest issue. Just saying, but. I don't have confidence in his campaign people, to put it bluntly. I think they mean well, but I just don't have any confidence in their skill set and the acumen.
I still think it's got to be Paul, brother. You got to think about the future. And I have no incentive to say this at all. No financial incentive, no friendship incentive, no nothing. I'm telling you from a purely mathematical point of view. Paul Dance is the person to take the party into the future with South Carolina. If you don't go with a low country Republican like Paul Dance, you're going to lose this seat. This, by the way, Lindsey, I almost called him Lady Graham. I almost called him Nancy or Lady Graham. He had a viable opponent, guys. This woman's going to raise millions of dollars. She's a serious candidate. Lindsey Graham had a serious base problem. So Robert's right that the Republican Party actually has a chance here. It's like an unbelievable, almost like a gift, like I hate to say it, but it's an unbelievable chance to finally put somebody in that seat that represents the party, represents the base, represents the state. You will never, ever catch a blue state Democrat like South Carolina is still a red state. You will never catch somebody like that in the Democratic Party acting like Graham or being so unrepresentative of their electorate. That's one of the major problems with the Republican Party right now. There are no traitors in the Democratic Party. There are no betrayers in the Democratic Party. There are no unrepresentative representatives in the Democratic Party. There are 60+% majority Democratic Socialists and Socialist Party, and their representatives act like it. Republicans don't. They still have this neocon parasitic faction that is literally dying before our eyes. I got a very funny video I want to play. Literally dying right before our very eyes, and they have no constituency. They were elected on the 9/11 fear. Like many of these guys are like Lindsey Graham. They were elected on the 9/11 fear and the 9/11 mindset. And that mindset is dead now. It's gone. Neoconservatism doesn't have a constituency to replace them. So they have money. That's what they got. They have money and they have bullying. They have institutional power, but they don't have any votes. And this is a chance to finally start to right the ship for the Republican Party. This would be a huge win. Taking out somebody doing what Charlie wanted to begin with, by the way. Charlie never wanted another term for this guy because Charlie understood something that I rewatched his interview with Tucker on the 4th of July when Tucker shared it. Did you rewatch it? You remember how Tucker shared it? He was like, basically, there's probably 5 people in our space, brother, who could read Burn It Down and say, man, I get that. That's right. He's right. Charlie, I really wish he was still alive to read this book, because he got it. And if you rewatch his interview with Tucker, you'll see why he wanted Graham gone so bad. You'll see why he wanted so many of these other guys gone, like Cornyn too, by the way. But we won't survive. We will not survive this. It has to happen, and happen now. Trump's assimilation to the swamp has put us in a seriously, I mean, vulnerable is not even the word. It's like, you better learn, teach yourself right now how to swim, and swim like proficiently, or we're all going to drown. That's it. I mean, that's where we're at. We that's why I'm so pissed about the appointment, to be honest, Robert, because we don't have another 3 months to show the country that we're filled with nepotism lovers and grifters and oligarch lovers and whatever else you want to call it that this administration has turned into. We don't have time for that. It's almost over for us, and people don't seem to get it. And it's just really difficult watching this happen. And I don't even know what other advisors at this point think what he did today was a good idea, which, for people who don't understand, the president installed Darlene. He installed Darlene. That's it. He did it. Nobody thought it was a good idea. He picked up the phone. He called Henry McMaster, who does if he said get on your knees, McMaster would get on his knees. I mean, this is what he's responsible for this now. And I don't understand what happened to the master brander, the master marketer, how he doesn't understand what he's making this party look like. It's real, man. That's why I'm actually going to take a little trip at the end of the week. Not because I think it's going to go well for me. I don't. I think it's going to go really bad for me. And people have warned me this is not a good idea. But I'm going to do it because it's my last chance to say what I want to say. Yeah. And because we're done. We're done soon, guys. The party's almost over.
Yeah, now I think in terms of if Trump were to endorse Dan's, he would burnish his brand effectively, because he would get the credit for Dan's success.
And yes,
because Dan's is more relatively unknown compared to the others.
Yes,
he would reciprocate loyalty that goes back more than a decade. For those that don't know, Paul Dan's was Trump before Trump. The old school kind of populist conservative reformer, a Ross Perot guy back in the day.
Dan's was a Trump whisperer when Bannon was looking for the guy. When Bannon was like, we need somebody to take the economic national torch and run with it. And Paul Dan's was the one. It's Donald Trump. It's been Donald Trump for years. Go see Donald Trump. Go meet with Donald Trump. Before Donald Trump knew what populism was, apparently, because he said popularism. All right. I mean, this is funny, but it's like it's the truth. This is how this went. Paul Dan's was a Trumper when he saw and understood why the Ross Perot fracture happened in the Republican Party. And he was pushing for Donald Trump when all these other clowns were calling Donald Trump a clown, literally. All right. Yep. So it's a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. I don't have the incentive to be saying this, Robert, as you know, not exactly the happiest with certain people at the moment, but it is the right thing to do. It's the politically smart thing to do. It's the morally right thing to do. And policy-wise, Paul Dan's has chops. He's not going to go in there and fold like Ted Cruz, I'm going to go in there and repeal and replace Obamacare at all costs. And now he's celebrating the 4th of July by thanking the Israelis. I mean, that's not what Paul Dan's will never turn into that. He will always have Donald Trump's back, even if it comes out that Donald Trump did horrendous things when Democrats tried to impeach him. Paul won't care. He simply won't care. He'll just get up and be like, well, I don't really give a shit. No. These other guys aren't going to do that. They're going to cave. It's important to have a spine in DC, guys. I can't stress this enough. It's important. That town is like a little bubble. You get in there, you go in there wanting to do good, and then it's just very hard. And people are constantly trying to make it about you. And after a while, it's very easy to believe that it is about you and that you should get what you want to get out of it before you leave that disgusting town. And to hell with the little people who really never will give you credit for it anyway, and blah, blah, blah. And that's the story as old as that city. And that is what happens to everyone. I've been watching it for over a decade now, like up close and personal, more than that, from a distance. And there's very few people that you meet where that guy's not going to do it. And it's Paul. That's it. And he's, like you said, decades-long reciprocity here, bro. Decades-long reciprocity. There's nobody who can go back and say, he had my back before Paul Dance did. Nobody.
Yeah, it would be, good currency for Trump and in the Trump world to have Dan's be endorsed. Trump would get the credit if Trump for any success that Dan's has in South Carolina. And then Dan's has the backbone, the biography that can be successful in South Carolina. For those that don't know, not only was he stuck with Trump all the way through. And the Office of Personnel and Management was, protecting and covering Trump throughout his first term against a lot of would-be saboteurs and betrayers of both the agenda and the person himself. Then in 2020, he took time off from his job to go down to Georgia to stand in the trenches to fight for election integrity, was willing to take a lot of personal and professional risks to do so, stood by Trump all the way through, then became part of Project 2025 to anchor a way to take apart the administrative state from within and help set up that whole Doge idea started with Paul Dance.
Yep.
The
most popular idea of the administration, by the way.
Oh, yeah, but no question. Has wanted to he says, I care more about Palestine, Ohio, than worrying about protecting Israel. That's not the top priority. That we need to reconsider and reassess foreign wars, reconsider and reassess our national trade policy. And he has the backbone, as he's shown when he was at the Office of Personnel and Management, when he was fighting in the 2020 election, when he was at the Project 2025, and even when he's put on the sacrificial lamb for Susie Wiles to keep out of the White House. He doesn't go out and publicly attack the president or anything else. Continues to support the same ideas and agenda. Was willing to be a front man to try to take on Lindsey Graham until ultimately people decided that Lynch would have more money, so to get behind Lynch for that challenge. And then he has the branding. So he's got the biography, he's got the backbone, he's got the branding that fits South Carolina. Would be a positive whisper. He would be the opposite of what Lindsey Graham was in being a Trump whisperer to Trump and other members, and would be a good representative of the party, of the new brand of the party, the new wave of the party, the new demographic of the state of South Carolina would then feel really represented in someone like Dance. Dance would guarantee the seat in ways that people just assume it's guaranteed, that they take for granted.
And it's not.
Because she can't win the upcountry vote, whereas Dan's can win the Horry County kind of vote that would otherwise be in play with any other candidate. So particularly if it's a Nikki Haley or a Trey Gowdy. So that's what I recommend. We'll see. I don't have any confidence at the moment in the president at all. I think his political instincts are gone. I think his policy skills are gone. I think we got a different man in the White House. But we'll put out for one last time, I guess, the opportunity that's present. This is an excellent opportunity that they can turn into a strong advantage to help rebrand the party, to help buttress their position for the Senate in 2026, and to reciprocate loyalty in a way that would send the right message to large parts of Washington, where a lot of those people have doubts about whether that loyalty is coming their way, which you're going to need when the investigations and impeachments roll around in 2027. So a smart move, without question, would be to get behind Paul Dance. We'll see if they're capable or able of making such a smart move.
This is like 25 seconds. Let me just play this. I mean, it's not exactly the flashiest clip in the world, but this is a guy, and if you remember when he was running against Graham, I mean, he took it to him. He gave him no leeway. He pulled no punches. But this is what I'm talking about. This is the difference. I could play a Graham clip and then back to back with this, but this is Dan's response yesterday. All right, let me just put this up. Simple.
A word on the tragic death of Senator Lindsey Graham. This is a man who came from small town South Carolina and under very trying circumstances rose to the very top of the world stage. He did it because he worked tirelessly. He wore our country's uniform. He deeply believed in South Carolina and the United States, and he lived life with gusto and a great sense of humor.
Gusto.
We didn't always agree politically. Today, Mary Helen and we join the rest of South Carolina in extending our deepest sympathies to the Graham family and the many friends Lindsey left behind, not only here in our state, but all over the country and indeed the world. Senator Graham, Lindsey, rest in peace.
We didn't always agree. You know, I mean, he gives this nice, if you watch the campaign, guys, you know, they didn't agree. All right. But like, you know, and then he puts a prayer up for the guy. You know, I mean, let me play the other one. And now let's compare and contrast that to the late Lindsey Graham.
So when we were faced with destruction as a nation after Pearl Harbor, fighting the Germans and the Japanese, we decided to end the war by bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki with nuclear weapons. That was the right decision. Give Israel the bombs they need to end the war they can't afford to lose and work with them to minimize casualties. Well, can I say this? Why is it okay for America to drop 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end their existential threat war? Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. To Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
Holy shit. Drop a nuclear weapon on Gaza. And by the way, he wasn't talking about Iran in that clip. No. He was talking about Gaza.
And that's what happens when you drink 6 Bloody Marys before breakfast. You can tell he's drunk.
Everybody, brother, everyone, including Harry Truman, says the bomb has said that the bomb should never be used again. That we were the first ones to use it, and that's why we're the only ones to use it. Carnage on a scale not even they understood it would be. You know, I mean, this is insane. And by the way, all these so-called Christians, like, you know, Emerald Robinson had the right tweet. Like, my brothers and sisters in Christ, we need to have a real come to Jesus, because if you're out there saying, you know, that this was an ideal role model, and this is the guy that you should be, you know, that you just can't wait to go see again and with the Lord. Well, I got news for you. If you make it behind those pearly gates, you're not going to be finding Lindsey Graham there, bro. Are you kidding me? All right. I'm sorry. Like, this is crazy, Robert.
If Dan's doesn't get Trump support, what do you think the primary looks like?
I think it's going to be a shit show. You know, and I did tell Laura, because like apparently when I was at this convention with she says, oh, people watch, Rich, you got to watch your mouth. The kids, their friends watch, their parents watch. I'm like, nah, it's not true, brother. And my daughter hates it. She can't stand it when they're like, oh, you know, it's like, can I get a picture? My daughter just storms away. She hates it. She thinks it's embarrassing. People do watch, and people like, you know, so I told her I'd watch my mouth, but you know, what other word is there for shit? So Laura, so apologies, but like, it will be a disaster. And I do think that, again, the president shouldn't have to touch this, honestly. Like, this is the thing, he shouldn't have to, but because the best man probably needs him to, the ideal situation would be for him to do what you said, because otherwise it will be a quagmire. If he endorses somebody that's not MAGA, he was humiliated for the governorship. Can we just call this what it is? He was humiliated. Donald Trump, President Trump, because you listened to your advisors, you were humiliated in the Republican primary with Lindsey Graham. You couldn't even get him above 60. Your candidate for the governorship, which I told TPUSA not to follow you down this destructive, humiliating path, and they did anyway. Your governor couldn't even get above 30%. And then she went on to get her ass kicked by the one you should have endorsed the whole time. And so getting involved now and picking the wrong person is infinitely worse and infinitely more politically damaging than just staying out of it altogether. So if you're not going to pick Dan's, and you're not going to like call him and say, hey, it's worth it because I'll have your support, that is what you should do. Because if you're Paul Dan's right now, you're thinking, why would I run? Why would I? It's not worth it to me. I'm just going to make enemies, and it's not going to be worth it if the president goes against me. So if you're Paul, you're sitting home and you're waiting and you're putting up videos like that. That was a smart move by Paul to do. I mean, the smart move was not to get up, guys, and start trashing the president's, what the president views to be his friend. If you didn't hear it the other day when he called in Meet the Press, he was choked up. I've never heard Trump like that. He choked. He was choking.
That shows the power of what Graham did.
Graham
Graham weaseled his way into Trump's brain.
Yes.
That Trump would get more choked up about the passing of Lindsey Graham than Charlie Kirk.
Okay, let's just say it out loud. Let's just say it out loud. He got more choked up.
Nothing sums up his second term more than that.
Clearly more moved emotionally by the death of Lindsey Graham than the public execution of Charlie Kirk, who was his real friend, who was his real supporter. I mean, so again, what I would say is if Trump picks the wrong person, it'll look like the South Carolina governor primary. Of course, it'll get more attention because it's a federal race and the balance of power in the U.S. Senate is in doubt right now. So, it will be a disaster. By the way, you see how much Sherrod Brown raised? I mean, I don't know if that's a good time to segue.
Yeah. But now people are starting to detect, I think we should all
now that the war is back on.
The other race. I mean, we'll see what happens with McConnell, but that's just about the 5-6 month replacement.
I got something for you on that.
Wait, go ahead.
Can I do it? Listen, I saw this the other day, and because the new movie Michael is out on Prime, right? Because the kids wanted to see it in the movie theater, and we didn't have time, so I got it for them on Prime. Everyone just thought this was the bee's knees. But the day that they took the picture that's up on social media now is this. All right, there were a few of us who were told, which it got out. And they were very upset at certain people for telling certain people this true situation with McConnell, which is that I don't know if I was not told he was brain dead. Like I know Laura Loomer's out there saying he's brain dead and whatnot. I was told he is no longer capable of being able to fill the duties of a U.S. senator, and it will never, ever change. That is not going to ever be the case ever again, and he is done. Why does this matter? And I spoke to a reporter about this earlier this morning, because Andy Beshear wants to challenge the Kentucky law that says that, a governor cannot appoint someone when there's a vacancy. They have a hole in the law. And Robert, you're the lawyer, you probably explain it better. But if you do not put up right now a special election to replace Mitch McConnell after, I believe it's August 2nd, I have to go back and look, then Beshear will challenge this law, and he will put somebody, a Democrat, by the way, in McConnell's seat, and he'll stay there, folks, until the courts hear it out. So McConnell's team, I don't know what they're doing, because the problem is the best case scenario in that event is that the vacancy holds, but that's bad news for Republicans. It means it's harder to pass a bill. It's harder to confirm somebody Trump appoints. It's also harder, by the way, to protect Donald Trump from a conviction, which is what I really think is going on here. And that's why, Mr. President, you better watch some of those snakes and vipers that you have in your den, because the Scott Jennings of the world out there, he's my mentor, and I just spoke to him for 45 minutes. Yeah, did it sound like this, Scott? Guy is done. He's done, and everybody knows he's done. You're going to take, how long is it going to take for the Republican Party to recover from these lies and these betrayals that they have been throwing at the American people one after the other? So when I saw this meme, I just thought this was perfect. Here we go. This is the best ever. Wait, here we go. Get it, Mitch? Look at him go. Stop it.
Well, and what can happen is if it ends up that they covered it up, if he's able to, if Beshear is able to get the Democratic, he'd probably make the Democratic nominee, the incumbent senator, to give him a boost in that regard.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, a race that people aren't paying any attention to at all might be one of those surprises on election night. So they're taking an undue risk by covering up for McConnell's position, to where And it's a reminder when you combine this with Feinstein, you combine this to a degree with Trump and Biden, we need to start considering retirement maximums for senators, congressmen, and presidents. Just like we have minimum age requirements,
Yes.
we need to consider maximum age requirements, because this is when people see all these geriatrics, Feinstein still voting hours before she's dead, when it was clear she couldn't function
John
at
McCain.
all for months. McConnell hasn't been able to function for months. You got Keene running off to rehab.
Yep.
You
said it. You said it.
Disappearing for long periods of time. I mean, it's just embarrassing to it makes the constitutional republic look like old post-republic Rome, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
Now that takes us to another place where the Democrats can't help themselves and idiotic Republicans joined in, which is Graham Plattner. The Plattner's got a good campaign platform, but had personal baggage, and the Democratic establishment just can't help but bite itself in the foot. So it decided to destroy him. Susan Collins was going to sit on this until a couple of weeks before Election Day as her last rescue salvage, and instead Republicans jumped on board a obviously dubious Me Too allegation from chick that says, rejected on her forehead, and regret equals rape kind of thing situation. Like a lot of the more bogus Me Too allegations. But the dumb part of Republicans was jumping on it, getting so excited about it. Aside from the obvious hypocrisy, it made every Republican look like the conservative look like a fake and a phony and a fraud for doing it. But the other problem was, all they did is now they're going to put a longtime labor state rep is probably going to win the Democratic nomination. And this guy's got an established history of winning in Trump plus 10 districts. And now you're going to make him the nominee. And he's already picked up all the Plattner. Now, I'm not going to fund Israel. Yep. I'm against the foreign wars, all of that jazz. Plus, he's got labor bona fides in a way that Plattner did not. Plus, he's run for office and won office in Trumpy Maine. So all they did is put Susan Collins 6 feet under by taking out Plattner with the Democrats.
I did everything I could possibly do to explain that to them. This is California all over again. They jumped on the Democratic assassination of Eric Swalwell. Everybody knew about Eric Swalwell's behavior. Everyone knew that Eric Swalwell slept with a Chinese spy. Everybody knew that Eric Swalwell is a degenerate sexaholic and an alcoholic. All right. Everybody knew this. And yet it was perfectly fine until it looked like the sheriff and Steve Hilton were going to end up being the only two who made it through the jungle primary, being two Republicans, which, folks, is the only way Republicans have any chance whatsoever of winning a statewide election in California. Democrats decided Eric had to go, and these stupid Republicans, and frankly, again, this is the problem. Grifters and noobs in MAGA. These are two very big problems. One, the grifter, we know what that is. A noob meaning, like, for the gaming term, you're a new player in the game, right? And Nick Shirley and all the rest of them who just seem to have these stories dumped in their lap magically, all right, don't understand the game. And they jump all over Eric Swalwell and help push him out of the race. You lost your one chance to win the governorship in the state of California. Steve Hilton has no prayer to beat Becerra. He's no prayer now. So I'm watching this happen in Maine, and I'm thinking to myself, these people, they can't learn. Like, they're not good at this game. The only reason Republicans have been able to win anything whatsoever has been because of Donald Trump, and has been because sometimes Democrats just took things too far. You know what I mean? That's it. Without Trump, this party would have been nothing. We would probably already have, half of the Democratic Socialist platform enacted by now. Like, there would be nothing to stop Democrats except for, Trump. And unfortunately, that's bad news for the party overall, Robert, because Trump has gone the way of the dodo now. Like, Trumpism, MAGA's as dead as Lindsey Graham is, bro. It's over. Real MAGA. This new version of MAGA is just a fake. It's a cheap ass counterfeit version. It's not going to be accepted by the American public. They'll be rejected in a heartbeat. It'll be replaced by democratic socialism if something else doesn't rise to take its place. They just can't learn. They're not good at the game. They're not good at the game, Robert. I don't know what to say.
I think Maine became. I thought Collins was going to lose Maine anyway, but now I think it's more like 85% chance he loses Maine.
And with Graham Plattner, listen, one thing I don't like, because I got calls, like literally, I'll not forget what this person said to me. Back the play.
Back stupidity. I always get, but it shows you how politically daft and these people are. That's why I have no confidence in them.
Sobic are like, wait a minute, what's wrong with you? Why can't you understand? Like, because Jack was totally with me on this, although he publicly backed the play. He did. But like, he was with me on this. Like, what part about this don't you understand? And also, the second thing I don't like is just, you're not going to turn me into a hypocrite. I don't like the idea of these very clearly AIPAC smears. This was an AIPAC smear, bro. Like, this came right from the Ziocons and the AIPAC on the left. They are going to cause a chilling effect where no normal people like Graham Plattner, because guys, the ruling class ain't it. All right, they brought us, the Lindsey Grahams and the Susan Collinses, they brought us to this sad-ass state that we currently find ourselves in. They're never going to lead us out of it, ever. It's not going to be them. You may not agree with anything Graham Plattner has to say, but you don't want to dissuade people like Graham who are new to the process. By the way, Democrats, you stupid fools, he got the most votes out of anybody in a Democratic primary. They put up a huge historical primary vote, you dummies. And now you just turned him away and you locked the smear on him. They will do it to everybody, Robert. That's my point. Like, Trump was universal name ID. He was a billionaire. He could fight it. Graham Plattner can't fight it. I can't fight it. You can't fight it. Normal people can't fight it. So all you're doing is chilling out normal, better, fresh blood from coming in and helping save us from destruction. It's not going to come. Solutions will never come from the pedigree class, the ruling class. And if you're not pedigree, you get hit with smears like this. And you should not encourage that. Why? Because Susan Collins is a fraud, a crooked fraud who couldn't beat Graham Plattner on her own. Why? Because the administration didn't govern as it said and promised it would govern for the people he promised he would govern for. That's why we're going to sacrifice, and we're going to cause this chilling effect. We're going to sacrifice any hope of real reform, any hope of restoration. For that? No.
Well,
it's
yeah,
not worth it to me. It's not worth it to me.
What it also showed was that Democrats continue to have an Achilles heel. That, they're quick resorting to the Me Too movement, to identitarian politics, to embracing the smear campaign against one of their own more popular candidates. Shows that
clear. You don't believe these women, right? Especially that last one. I don't believe.
Oh yeah, no.
One's a Ziocon. Her family is.
Nor do I think it matters for representative government, to be blunt about it.
Thank you.
I'm voting, as Jerry Falwell said about Ronald Reagan, I'm voting for president, not Sunday school teacher.
Robert, if you get raped, is the first thing you're concerned about is that he didn't call you back? And the second thing you're concerned about is that maybe he might have slept with too many women more other than me. Like, this isn't being raped, bro. You got mad he didn't call you back. This is what all these women are mad about Graham Plattner for. You slept with Graham Plattner. He didn't call you back because he just used you for a one-night stand. And you're pissed that he didn't call you back. There's a word for it. It's a dirty slogan. I'm not going to use it, but there's a word for it. You got and dumped, and now you are mad, and now you want to say things like that. I'm just, dude, no, not only do I not buy it at all, I don't know how anyone can't see what it is. Maybe you've just never slept with women before and you don't know how women act and women behave. Like, how these guys could jump on him like this. You guys are disgusting. You're anti-American, anti-men. Like, you just disgust. It's such a clear smear to me, Robert. So
well, it's not only that. It's just that the Democratic Party, which would rally behind anybody against any accusation, now quickly rallies to it under the identitarian banner. And it shows that the point Michael Tracy made is that if you're a white heterosexual male, why would you run as a Democratic candidate? You're going to be at massive risk. You're going to have to be a psychopath or a weirdo to be willing to take all the hits that are going to be forthcoming. And that shows it continue. I mean, Ro Khanna jumped ship as fast as he could. It showed an Achilles heel still in the Democratic Party. It's why I think that even if the Democratic Party achieves success in the midterms or even in 2028, they're going to invariably and inevitably fail and
I
bring
told
in a
Ro-
third-party movement.
I tried telling Ro, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And
Yeah,
you're
completely.
shooting yourself in the foot, man. Don't do it. Don't tell him to
I
get
know
out.
exactly how to get them to betray their own with a
Yep.
heart. You know, that's not a strength. That's not a sign of strength. Now, transition. So
$5,000 deposit 3 months later in her bank account. I guarantee.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it just everything about it screamed problematic. But shifting into the 3 races that didn't have all this dramatic news, the races that we said would be competitive, there's been more evidence now amounting that they are competitive or lean Democratic. And people should recognize if Ohio is leaning Democratic, why do you think Iowa is safe Republican? If Maine is going to now shift heavily toward the Democratic column, there are certain aspects of Alaska that are similar. It's the libertarian side of the equation, but there's a lot of comparable independent streaks in both states. And I see people still pretending that Alaska won't be, that Alaska is safe for Republicans, that Nebraska is safe for Republicans, even though Osborne's getting tighter and tighter in that race, that Iowa's safe for Republicans, that Ohio's safe for Republicans. This is that Michigan's going to be competitive because they haven't caught up to the fact that El Said is actually a stronger candidate than the other one.
Thank God you said it.
Because he has legitimate populist instincts. That there's only so many mommy candidates from the professional class women you can handle in a place like Michigan. So you want somebody like El Said who gives off this kind of vibe. If you're that independent, blue collar Michigan Macomb County voter, that was the heart of the independent vote, and that Trump won tremendously in both 2016 and 2024. Those voters, the anti-war vote in Michigan's off the train. The blue-collar industrial vote is increasingly skeptical. The black vote, and then the vote he got in Muslim parts of Michigan are completely off the train.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's forever. It's gone.
And Said can be much more credible against Rogers than others. And I don't think Michigan. I see people think that Georgia's going to be tight. I don't understand that.
These people are crazy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of Vance offered an exit ramp that had, if Trump could have kept to it, could have mitigated the losses in the Senate, maybe even hold the Senate. But Trump has now rug pulled that for probably the last final time. I don't see Iran signing it again. So since we're back now, it won't be troops on. I presume
Island,
it won't be people on the ground. Even though there's lunatics proposing that every night on Fox News. But I think that his rug pulling it is going to precipitate the continuous economic issues that make it that the forecast I put up at sportspicks.locals.com and that we have previously talked about going back to the fall of last year, I still hold to that the Democrats are likely to take the Senate with 52 or more Senate seats. That there's a higher chance of Democrats getting 55 or more Senate seats than there is Republicans adding seats in this term.
Republicans aren't adding seats, guys.
Sheldon Brown's basically almost a lock at this point. And once you realize that, yes, Sheldon Brown is uniquely strong in Ohio, knows how to run in Ohio. Husted is uniquely weak in Ohio. But Ohio is such a Trumpy state in the 2024 vote. That tells you there's trouble in Iowa. There's no hope in Michigan. There's these other states with comparable voters at the House level. That means real trouble for the Republicans at the House and Senate level. That Brown is increasingly recognized within Washington and other circles as the strong favorite.
He's
to
a
take
favorite.
The Ohio Senate seat.
Absolutely. Like this is, guys, at this point, no, if you're still out there saying, oh, no, Houston is going to pull ahead, the Republicans poll worse than they actually perform, you're alone. You're alone. You're on X making a fool of yourself. Even Republicans in D.C. think Sherrod Brown is the favorite. John Husted was a bomb. He was a mistake. Iowa, look at Iowa. Dead even on the RCP average. I don't know how many times you and I had to have to say this. I saw you retweeted my tweet earlier today where I had to explain to people Brown is ahead. All right. And by the way, the White House knows this. I mean, I'm not sharing this polling with a certain somebody and he's not passing it around to everybody. Their own internal pollster, who I don't really get along with, he has the same thing. They just think he's going to rebound, or at least there's a feeling among some in the White House that Husted is going to rebound. I'm telling the vice president, if he doesn't run for president, he literally is going to have to win his seat back, like for the Republican Party, because this seat is gone right now. It's not even, this is Iowa I have up right now, but Ohio, as of right now, is stunning to me. When we polled Ohio in 24, the Senate race was close. The generic ballot kind of wasn't. It was in between Moreno's lead and Trump's lead. So it was like R plus 7, a little over 7. Moreno, which we nailed, it was like 4.1. He won by 3.5. But Trump was ahead by like 14 points. They don't understand why Donald Trump wins the industrial Midwest, the Rust Belt, and the Great Lakes states. They don't understand. They never got it. You can't start a war in the Middle East. You can't do that, especially not when everyone's most important issue is the cost of living crisis, jobs in the economy, wage growth. This was the last thing that they wanted you to do. Now they don't even view Trump like that. And for people who don't understand why this is important, Robert and I have gone over this it's ad nauseum, Robert. We can't keep doing episodes about the same shit over and over again. The margin on who you trusted to keep you out of war has mirrored the margin statewide in vote preference for a long time. It is extremely predictive. It was the first sign Hillary was in trouble in 16 in the Midwest. It was the first sign that Donald Trump was in trouble in some of those states in the Midwest in 2020. And it was the first sign that Harris had no chance in hell to beat Donald Trump. Michigan was literally the same margin. Who do you trust to keep us out of a foreign war between Harris and Trump was identical to the vote preference in the state of Michigan. In Iowa and Ohio, Trump was able to hold on to those advantages in 2020, and he held on and won those states. But that's because he's Donald Trump. The Republican Party has never been viewed like that. And now Donald Trump is not even viewed like that. Usted is getting absolutely destroyed with the Epstein class narrative. He's getting destroyed with it. People, you know what? I think I can. I think maybe next week or the next show we'll be able to show this. But Robert, I can show you we did similar things to what we did with your polling for the Four Freedoms poll in the 1776 Law Center. We did similar things with Usted specifically in Ohio. It's disgusting. We polled Tucker Carlson's favorability rating. We polled a bunch of these different people. Like, they hate Mark Levin. They hate Ben Shapiro. They hate Benjamin Netanyahu. They don't even like Israel. They sympathize more with Palestine. All right. They do think Epstein is a scandal. Donald Trump is underwater in the state of Ohio. And I don't mean by a little. It looks almost like the national approval. It's bad. Guys, in Minnesota, which is just a little bit to the north, the guy's in the low 30s. Low 30s. It's not good. The environment is very bad. And Hinson, her major problem is the problem that Finstra was going to have. And that's why I think like maybe Zach can like do a little bit better than the polling suggests, because at least he has some excitement in that state behind him. The problem with Hinson is that nobody wants to vote for her. They don't even want to come out and vote. They have no incentive to vote for Ashley Hinson at all. They don't care. Oh, Democrats are worse. They're like, are they though? Are they? Like, you have to understand these are new Republicans, folks. They're not partisans like some of the Republicans who may be watching the show right now. They don't think like that. And you're looking at the registration data and you're thinking, but we have such a big advantage. Those are all new Trump Republicans who really have, when they went to go register, they were like, I guess I'm a Republican. I'm going to vote for Trump. But they're not Republican the way that you're a Republican. Barack Obama found that out the hard way, and you're about to find it out the hard way too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the short answer on the Senate, it's the median Democratic Senate at 52.5 Democratic seats. More likely they have 55 than Republicans add Senate seats. Those numbers really haven't changed because even if South Carolina, without Graham at the top of the ticket to take it down, that's been counterbalanced by Democrats improving their position in Maine. So, and solidifying their position. And I think, the surprise states, I mean, it's now starting to be seen because they now recognize that Nebraska's not safe. Montana's not safe. Florida's not safe like they thought before. South Carolina's not safe.
North Carolina.
So at least, we talked about 6 months ago, they're now being recognized that these are not the safe seats that people thought because of the dynamics of the general election in terms of a general election environment and specific factors in those seats. I would note particularly gas and diesel prices are going up the most at the moment in states like Ohio and Iowa. Very, very, unfortunate for the Republicans heading into the midterms.
Yeah. That's the thing. This is all coming back now. And if Trump, we really do get control of the strait. I saw the clip you put up. If we really do get control of the strait, let's just play Trump's little game. And let's say that he gets control of the strait and starts imposing a 20% toll. It's $15 jump in oil overnight, bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I mean, $15 jump per gallon, per barrel.
There's more evidence he just doesn't know where his brain is not where it used to be.
Bro, first of all, that's not going to happen. We all know that's going to. And did you see what the Iranians said in response, man? It was humiliating. Actually, let me put it up. Here it is. POTUS is absolutely right. Whoever provides secure and safe passage of commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz should be compensated for this service. Iran has always been the guardian of the strait and will remain so forever. 20% is, of course, too much. We will be fair. Oh, my God.
Exactly.
Bro.
We'll charge 10 times less. You could see that coming. I mean, I feel for JD. Keeps getting deals and Trump keeps rug pulling him. But because of that, the fundamentals continue to favor Democrats in both the House and the Senate in those key races. The next in August we'll do a more of a breakdown on the Nebraska, Montana, Texas, Florida, what you could call the Republican reaches, or the Democratic reaches, and we'll have a little bit more knowledge of where those are. Before we get to the questions, we should post up the link to the Florida Public Polling Project.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of interest there. What's going on in the governorship? What's going on in the Senate race?
Yeah.
What's the probability? Florida has a bunch of House seats that if Florida flips the way the whole country is flipping, even Florida isn't safe. But we got to get accurate and honest polling because there's so much bad polling out of Florida, mostly because Florida is one of the hardest states in the country to poll. And you've been one of the only people to consistently and accurately poll it. But the other reason is
pollster in the state of Florida. There's no.
That's been
I'm going to stop being so goddamn modest. I am the best pollster in the state of Florida. Somebody challenged it on X the other day. I literally went, got all the links, put every single one up. Starting from Florida was the first poll we ever released in 2014 before we even came out as a big public pollster. We not only gave Rick Scott the margin that he won by, we actually estimated the turnout, and we said that he would win by approximately 70,000 votes. He won by approximately 70,000 votes. Like, it was dead on. In 2016, we were one of the only pollsters that had Trump up. We had him up by 1.6. He won by 1.4. In 2022, we had DeSantis winning by a hair, and Rick
2018,
Scott
you mean?
In 2018, yes.
Yep.
By 2018, we had Rick Scott. The only thing we did have weird is that we had Rick Scott slightly larger lead than Ron DeSantis. And after review, the reason was Ron DeSantis's race was very crowded. Rick Scott's was him and Bill Nelson, and that was it. But nevertheless, everyone had Gillum winning. Everyone had Democrats winning both those races. And then in 2020, we had Trump winning by basically the exact margin he won by, a little over 3 points. Or we had him up by 3. I think he won by 3.4, something like that. Even the New York Post did a story about how damn good our Florida polling was, among other states. 2022, it was no point to poll it. We stopped polling it in April. Ron DeSantis' approval rating was like plus 20, bro. We were like, this is done. And we never spent another dollar on it. 2024, we were the only poll to show, except for Nate, he did come out with, I think, a Trump plus 11 or 12 or something, right? Something like that. But that was months after we first showed that Florida was a blowout for Donald Trump. And then our final poll was Trump plus 13.3 or something. I mean, it was right on the money. The only thing that was understated was Miami. He won it by a lot more than our poll showed he was going to win it. We did show he was going to win it, by the way. And do you remember when Miami was first going? And we was like, we were the only people out there saying, guys, Miami's going to go. Trump's going to carry Miami. And people mocked it. They didn't think it was even possible. And hell, lo and behold, he did. So there's a couple of reasons we should poll this, Robert. One is there's a debate over whether or not the governor's race is really competitive. And the reason is the governor primary. And the reason is because everybody's afraid of MAGA Inc. They're all being told not to pull that race and just to have the air of inevitability that Byron Donalds is ahead. If Fishback is really posing a challenge, we will find out, guys, if you fund the project. And then also, like Robert said, which is what I'm actually more interested in, which is that if the governor's race, if statewide races in Florida for the general election are as close as some of these public pollsters suggest, and I'm not saying they are, but because they've been wrong in the past, but when we have not been, but if they are, and we come back with like single-digit leads for Republicans, they're in deep shit. Serious deep shit.
Because you have groups within Florida.
Yeah.
You got unique groups like the Cubans, Venezuelans, and Colombians, and maybe they're not trending the way Mexican Americans are in other parts of the state, other parts of the country. But you want to know, how are the Puerto Ricans trending? Because they can be big in New Jersey, New York, some other congressional districts in Central Florida. And then you want to know how African American voters in Florida, is that diminished enthusiasm like it's been showing up in other parts of the Southeast. And then there's a lot of ancestral Northern Democrats that have moved down there that trended heavily towards Trump. How are they trending in Florida? So Florida is a microcosm that if Florida is competitive, then the Republican map is looking real ugly for 2026, and in trouble for 2028. Because people forget Florida was just a blowout this time. It used to be tight.
Yes. Yeah, razor thin, guys. I mean, Florida was a blowout this time because Trump did so much better in Southern Florida. Again, he did better everywhere, even in Duval, which told us, by the way, that Georgia, he was going to win Georgia. Duval County shifts with Georgia in this weird, mysterious way. It's been going on for a long time. It trends in the same direction, almost identical to margin. It's kind of crazy. But it was like a one-off. The country was like pissed that they were lied to about Biden being senile, and they wanted their president back. I mean, that's what it came down to. Now, Republicans are not only are they not doing well with Hispanics, they are basically have reverted to Obama levels. It's that bad. So, that Trump just won the most out of any Republican presidential candidate ever in history, beat George W. Bush, who had the record before that. This is a state where, you look at the registration, Robert, and people are like, well, they can't. There's no way. Well, you can if you lose MPAs by 30 points, which you did in these special elections. It can. Now, beat the Republican in Florida? I don't know. We'll see. I can tell you Ron DeSantis is very concerned. He's very concerned that his hard work and his legacy is going to be washed away. And I'm not one to defend Ron DeSantis after what smear merchants tried to do to me in 2024. But I can tell you he's legitimately worried, and he believes you can't just win on rhetoric, and you can't win by saying it's not enough. And he knows Florida. He does. Whether you want to say whatever you want to say about the guy, he understands Floridians. You can't just win on rhetoric and by saying the other guy is super, super bad. You have to deliver. And if you don't deliver, guys, I'm still very in tune with a lot of these communities in Florida where I used to live. I still have family there. It is hard to find diehard Trump supporters who are still happy. And even harder to find, those younger Hispanics who voted for Trump in South Florida. They're pissed. They're furious. I mean, they did not think that Donald Trump would ever start a new war instead of take care of them. And by the way, taking Cuba is not going to save you. It's not. So they don't give. There will be some who will be happy, yes, but Cubans are one subgroup of Hispanics in Florida. Not even Venezuelans, after capturing Nicolas Maduro, are forgiving Donald Trump as a whole for not taking care of their needs at home. By the way, I just did a very conservative Senate map before we move on to the questions, Robert. Look at this. I mean, I still left out Iowa a toss-up, even though because it is like dead tied on RCP right now. I just left Alaska and Maine toss-ups just so people understand how easy it is if it's a bad environment for Republicans. One or both of those states are going to go, if not all three. So and that leaves, I'm leaving Nebraska as it is, even though I think that honestly, Nebraska should be a toss-up right now. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's just tough shit. I'll leave Montana because of what wound up happening with Montana. But Nebraska, like you said, he's gaining every day. And the internal polls for the Republican, the NRSC, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, have Nebraska tied. So it is what it is. Now that they threw Graham Plattner out of Maine, if we were to put that as leans Democrat, Democrats have it already. You need Sullivan to hold on, and you need to win these other 2 states to even make sure that, it's a close vote, but even at this rate. Oh, and then now you want to know why I'm flipping out over Mitch McConnell, guys. Let's say we take this out and we give them Kentucky, because McConnell and Scott Jennings and the rest of them want to play fucking games, we could, or there's not even a senator there. You got to remove his vote when you go through cloture and all of that. I know you guys don't understand Senate rules as convoluted as they are, but if McConnell is constantly not present, it makes it easier for Democrats to get legislation through. All right. Or block or convict, so this is not, I don't know how else to impress this on you. Robert and I were telling you last year that Ohio and Iowa are going to go or be close. And everyone laughed and everyone thought it was a joke. Iowa is now gone. It's gone. I mean, Ohio. Iowa could be closer. We'll wait to see how that goes. But I'm inclined to agree with Robert that if one is going to go, the other one's probably going to go too. That's just how this works. It's like, we can look at polling, but it's like, remember, Robert, when we tried to explain to people, like, Trump is not ahead in Pennsylvania and down in Michigan. Like, that's just not going to happen. Whoever wins one is going to sweep all 3. It'll be closer in some, but that's how it's going to go. This is traditionally how it goes. In 2018, Iowa was the one that swung first.
Right.
And Ohio resisted. Even though Sherrod Brown ultimately won that, Republicans still won the gubernatorial. Vivek is down in all. This is what I think is the double whammy. Vivek is such a horrible gubernatorial candidate.
Yeah. Yeah, he should have stayed in the administration.
He should have. Yeah. You want to go through the chats?
Yeah. Let's start to the super chats.
Yeah. First and foremost, let me just give a. Is it here? Like Laura's like, got to tell people. New member, whoop whoop. New member. All right, and welcome aboard. She's right. I got to do that. Appreciate your support. We do. Thank you. Appreciate. It's Lisa, right? Spelled with an E. That's cool, actually. Once upon a time, I had a sister. Her name was Lisa. I haven't spoken to her in 30 years. But maybe longer, actually. But it was a half sister, actually. Hope she's doing all right. She was a good kid. Good kid. She was older than me. When the incubator left us before my dad got us, that girl made sure I had some mac and cheese, at least in my belly. I'll forever love her for it. Gray. MAGA failed. Has real communism ever been tried?
That's funny.
But the funny thing about this, guys, is that he knows this is what they're going to say. This is what they're going to do. They're going to say it didn't fail. It's failed only because capitalists sabotaged it. And, these oligarchs and Trump class people, they sabotaged it. It's going to work because you let them down. You let them down. And part of it will be that they'll willfully believe it or, kind of like ignorantly, blissfully, whatever the word I'm looking for.
Or they'll just be so angry. They're like, let's try blowing up this thing over here.
Yeah, exactly. They'll try burning it down. They'll just try to burn it down. Can voting fix America, or has that time passed? I think that's actually a serious question here.
I understand, but I think that time is not passed at all. I think the question is whether can the Republican Party reform itself? Yeah. Can the Democratic Party deliver? And if not, can a new third party emerge from the ashes?
I'm hoping somebody asked this question because I want to get into this with you with what Tucker said and everything that was going on. I can tell you guys right now, I polled Tucker as a third party. I polled him with Joe Kent. I gave him the result. I talked to him about it, and I straight up told him that Elon Musk was similarly frustrated. And if you and Elon pulled together, you with your ideas and Elon with his money, I'll tell you how to destroy the Republican Party in one cycle. And I can. I know I can. I just need Elon's money and I need Tucker's microphone. And I'll break this thing apart in 1 second. And it may be the most advantageous thing to do at this point, because when a party is strong, the establishment is strong, there is no reforming it. There's no fixing it. So, I mean, to answer your question, Gray, what Robert said is like the first thing you got to even consider, which is, can the Republican Party get its act together? If it can't, then it has to be broken. It has to be replaced with something else, because there's Cernovich is right about the impact of third parties, like he's right about that. Although his history on policy change is a little wrong. Actually, Barnes is right, which is that most effective change has come in times of when third parties have broken another party for the time being. That's like some of the best course corrections have come during those periods, actually. But yeah, I'm with you on that, Robert. Or at least I don't want to say it's past. Like, I think we have one more shot at this if we correct or break the Republican Party. If not, we're screwed. We're done. And I think we only, just to make it clear, I think we only have like a cycle left to do it. I don't think I think Trump was probably supposed to be it, and since he's not going to do it, then we're out of time. We're on borrowed time. But America, I have a lot of confidence in it to to come roaring back. And I just don't think it can't defy the laws of nature forever, but it can defy history, and we just need to get on it now. What happened when Mitch goes to visit Lindsey? Does Andy Beshear have the balls to just appoint Thomas Massey as the interim senator to cause chaos? Could you imagine if he did?
That would be a smart, but he's too much. He wants to be president in 2028.
Yeah.
He wants the Democratic nomination. So he's not politically savvy enough to make the Massey move. Instead, my guess is he'll put the Democratic nominee in the seat to get Democratic bona fides. The Democratic nominee is also African-American, so it helps him extend potential support there. People don't know Beshear is definitely running for president in 2028.
I think you need to look at our group chats with Mark. Somebody found a filing. Georgia Republicans are paying Josh McCoon's friend and former Dominion lobbyist John Garst $19,000 in April of 2025. These people, guys, just stay tuned. Be patient, stay tuned. Shit is coming. I mean, it's gonna be. I'm not gonna lie to you. You're not gonna like it. It's bad. And it's just gonna. It's bad. It is what it is. All right. Base betrayal is the DNA of the GOP. It's baked in every donor network and party organ. The GOP will act this way until it's extinguished, which is why, Brian, I think I'm like leaning towards helping Tucker, and especially if I can get Elon on board, because the disconnect between the donor network and the base is the root of the problem. That's the source of all of these betrayals, since we even going back to the 92 betrayal. This is the source of it all. And until that's corrected, this won't be fixed. And we're just chasing, like we're just like a chicken with a head cut off, or whatever it is. We're the dog chasing the bus is a better kind of analogy, because we have caught the bus. And then when we get it, we don't know what to do with it, because the donors want payback and the base wants what was promised to them, and the donors win all the time. This Israel first crowd has got to go. They have to go. So it's going to be toxic. The problem is the donor base is Israel first. And I just don't know the solution there, Robert, other than to leave them partyless. Let them fund the Democratic Party. Let the Democratic Party be the party of toxic Israel. Let them have it. And then eventually there's going to be a lot of working class Democrats finally realize that they actually agree with MAGA, or America first. MAGA's done. America first. That's the only way forward, where you see like the Ro Khannas come together with the Marjorie Taylor Greens. And I know there's a lot of MAGA people out there right now like, well, guess what, guys? You're done. You're done. You're not going to win again. It's over. You didn't deliver. All right. You can't just evolve the definition of MAGA whenever one person who was supposed to be the opposite of what he is now, tells you to. That's called a cult. That's not a political movement. Brian is 100% right. You have anything to add to that, Robert? Because I don't really see a solution. Sums it up. Yeah, I don't see a solution at this point. I really don't. God did for Charlie Kirk what TPUSA refused to do. Holy shit, Lindsey Graham. That's what he's talking about. Oh my God, that's a great comment. Clip that. Thank you. It's supposed to do it when I say it. Let's see if it does. The one good thing that might come out of politics is Trump's entire family in jail till their bones decompose. All else is lost. Holy crap. But we can have that. Holy lordy. Wow. See, people are mad. People are angry. They're angry. They're hurting. They're suffering. They don't want to hear about every time the Trump family gets another deal, or Trump's crypto financial disclosures, or how much stock Eric has in the new drone company. Like, guys, don't. I mean, and they're not stupid people. So, like, to go on and pretend like you're being disloyal by saying that out loud, it's like, give me a break. You know, give me a damn break here. Rocket Boy coming in hot with the $10 Mark Mitchell ransom fund. You're gonna get your wish real soon, Rocket Boy. I know I keep saying that, but it is true, and I just don't want to mess anything up. I don't know. Maybe I'll let Robert add to that, but I just don't want to. I don't want to fudge anything open in my mouth. Looking for a coalition that makes extraditions great again. Trump won't hold bureaucrats, judges, and politicians accountable. Okay, got you. Put that on your pardon, Trump. Yeah, I mean,
well, I mean, the judge set aside that deal they cut on the IRS thing because it was so blatant and bold. If they would have taken certain advice, it wouldn't have been a problem, but they refused that advice, and now they got it blown up in their faces.
Yeah. Wow. And that's the tip of the iceberg. Yes. It is. The judge did it, so it threw it in our face to see, but there's so much going on that a lot of people don't see. We actually, like 2-3 months ago now, had to do a focus group with MAGA to see if they knew about 8 different things pertaining to Trump's business deals that he got. Many of them became the content of that Wall Street Journal article that was the Trumps have made more money than off of the presidency than any other president's family has ever had. I mean, that was a nice way of saying that they're like more corrupt than anything. Like, that's what that was a nice way of saying. And yeah. How does North Carolina look? Point of no return for the midterms. For the Senate, we're in.
The House will be competitive. The U.S. House in key seats, and then the big question is, the state Senate so lean strong, and the state Supreme Court, state House. But you could see a complete nightmare in North Carolina. But the Senate, I don't think there's any shot Republicans hold the Senate.
It's brewing. I'm telling you guys right now, for all of you jumping up and down for the PPP poll that shows that Whatley is only down 4, they're doing that to go donors into spending money. Yeah. PPP is a push poll. It is not a legitimate, credible polling firm. Yes, they do credible polling, but they are very known. Even Nate Silver, once upon a time, called them out for being that polling firm that Democrats know they can go to get some kind of result, to push in the press, to start a narrative. Whatley is not 4 points down. He is probably going to lose by 8 to 12 points. All right. Like, wow, it is not good. Dude, he was down with independents by 20 points. And the thing is, everyone keeps posting all these, look at Republicans gaining registrations. Actually, since the election, they've lost them, but it doesn't matter anyway, because independents are the prime vote here, and losing them by 20 points, I don't care what your turnout disparity is, you're done. You're done. And we saw that in the primary vote, guys. Look at how many more Democrats came out to vote for Cooper than Republicans came out to vote for Whatley. God forgive me, Laura and I didn't vote. We were busy, that's true, but we're always busy, Robert. Even I was too demotivated to vote, and I didn't even realize it. And when the next day, I was like, not the next day, that night, because I did a stream that night, I was like ashamed of myself for not voting, because I always vote. It was the first time I didn't vote in a primary since I've been a voter. It's like that's never happened to me. I've always been a midterm voter, and any pollster can go and look up my voter record and go check that out, because that is the truth. You'll see voted, except for this last election. And that tells you something. I work in this game and I didn't vote. Florida will be interesting. We'll be posting again. He means the link. Appreciate that, by the way. Yeah, I mean, there were some people that had some interest in it. A lot of people, like locals and online, had a lot of interest in it, but there were also some, because I told people Florida's expensive, and I don't know that can be crowdfunded, but some people were like, no, I'll put a lot in. Well, we'll see, but I do think it has to be polled. It has to be polled by me. I really do, because there's a chill going on. For people who don't understand what I mean, like behind the scenes, they're scaring people and they're not polling the race. All right. So thoughts on Texas. I did poll Texas for a client. I can say the results. I just can't share them. We had Paxton with a tiny lead.
I think it's going to be right down to the wire. that Paxton's Maha edge will keep him in the game no matter what's happening in the national electorate. But it's going to be tight, which tells you that Florida's probably going to be tight.
Yeah, I think, Robert, I mean, it's close, really, really close. Tallarico's made some mistakes. And otherwise, you know,
Did you see what somebody did to Viva?
Which one? Which one? I mean, he's under fire right now.
He has a tendency to just ask the super chat in the plain language. And so Viva said, Barnes, do you think Paxton will beat Fagarico in Texas?
Oh, and he read it out loud?
He didn't even realize, like, who's Fagarico? And I was like, God, it's a different person.
They got you, Viva. They got you,
did.
bro. Yeah, he's been under attack, but for good reason. Because he's
the guy's so fake.
The truth.
He's so fake.
Oh my God, that guy's a total fraud, man. Total fraud.
I think it's one of the big edges Paxton has in the campaign is, other than Maha, is embrace the negativity by saying this is about authenticity versus plasticity. This is about the real deal versus plastic surgery. That play into that image that, okay, he may be rough around the edges, but at least he's real. At least he's authentic. And isn't Texas the authentic state, not the plastic surgery state?
Yeah, they know Ken. And that's ultimately what is helping him. It kind of reminded me of Scott Walker, who we used to poll back in the day quietly.
Kept winning in Wisconsin because they're like, yeah, but we know who he is.
But
he's the real deal.
We know what to expect from him, you know? Yep. So thank you so much, sweetheart, by the way. I love you too. Drive safe. I'll see you in a bit. All right. Somebody asked me an excellent question. This is a big one. Somebody knows I'm a Witcher fan. Triss or Yennefer? Oh, can I just have them both at the same time? So said that out loud. Listen, God, if I had to choose, because look, when redheads are hot, they're hot, you know, like smoking hot. And if you take the original Triss look and not the one from Netflix, all right, and I think you're a pretty girl. I'm not making fun of your looks. It's just you don't look like Triss. All right, and I know what they'll say. They'll say, but in the books, she was originally supposed to be. Okay, originally my ass. Everyone knows Triss is a redhead. She's Celtic. Triss Marigold. Okay, Yen. I gotta go with Yen because ultimately I married the dark hair, you know, kind of, and I gotta go with Yen. I just gotta go with her. She's her appetite. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'll be real with you guys. I don't think Triss can handle my appetite. I think Yennefer is more. I think she's more up to the task. And if she's not, she'll cast a spell on herself to make sure she is. And that's the thing. She'll do that. Triss won't, you know? And I got to go with Yen on this, man. I absolutely love The Witcher. I'm dying for the new game to come out. I'm just not going to lie to you guys. When the Bridge game comes out, which takes us from The Witcher 3 to the new Cirilla series they're going to do, when they make the bridge, which is Geralt, I'll be gone. All right? I'll be on PlayStation for 48 to 72 hours playing that game. It's the only game I like anymore. I don't play any games. I'm not a gamer, but I just am in love with it. Laura's going to go back and read that, and she's going to be like, go be with your Yennefer then, Rich. Because like, don't talk, Laura. We're in a cutscene with Yennefer. Don't talk. You know, she's like, oh, okay. It's a great question. I appreciate it. Does Susie Wiles have any self-awareness on how she's contributed to the downfall of Trump? I'm going to say this, then I'm going to kick it to Robert. There's a difference between wanting to understand and having the ability to understand. There was a point, I don't know if she's still there, but there was a point where Susie Wiles was legitimately interested in gathering opinions and delivering it to the president. And then I'll tell you, I know I've spoken to other people that had the same experience. She'll look you dead in the eye and she'll say, don't hold back. But then everyone gets in there and fucking caves because they're afraid of the president. And it's pathetic. And then it makes those of us, and there's probably two, who don't cave look bad because the president's like, how dare you? You know, like, talk to me like this. It's like, you know, he doesn't want to be put on his heels and he wants to be kind of told he's great. You know, like as Laura likes to say, he loves himself a living memorial. All right. And if nobody listens to Susie, it doesn't really matter. Like, like she'll tell you, don't hold back. That's what she says. I'm not defending the woman. I'm simply telling you that is what she said. And she told Mark the same thing, by the way. Mark Mitchell said the same thing. She told Matt, same thing. Don't hold back. Unfortunately, it's hard for those of us who are not seasoned and hardened to go in front of the president, especially someone with stature like Trump, and tell him the truth. So even still, though, I just think that there's a real generational divide, and I don't think she's capable of understanding, even though I think she at one point at least tried. I think she wants, as many in that generation, Robert, they want to have their cake and they want to eat it too. And then, and it's like,
and really, she should have been the personal chief of staff, and someone like Paul Dan's the policy chief of staff.
Yeah.
So I blame Trump on that. That Trump knew what he was doing when he picked a career lobbyist from the boomer con generation
to
be his gatekeeper.
You want to be gatekeeper? Yeah.
Exactly. He wanted that. That's what he wanted. She did sporadically push back against it by bringing people in that he didn't want to hear from, that he didn't want to hear criticism of from in her own way. But she was not in a position and didn't have the experience, the life experience or the professional experience to provide sage advice. And on the political side of the equation with any degree of consistency. And then she trusted the institutional media, which was, to me, ridiculous, insane. But it's from that world. If you operate within the lobbyist world, you have a completely different perception of how these people act and who they truly are. And that was my concern with her all the way through. It was not a personal criticism of her. It was a criticism of Trump because he was empowering her in a position that was just like the putting Sessions in as attorney general. It's my criticism that shared with Bannon and other people. It's like, I think Sessions is a good guy, but don't put him in as attorney general. That's where he will fail. That's not where he's well equipped. Susie Wiles was bound to fail as Trump's gatekeeper, but Trump chose to make her his gatekeeper, and that was Trump's mistake. And as long as she was empowered in that way, Trump would continue to make mistakes. But it's on Trump at the end of the day.
And I gotta say, Robert, like, you can't make this shit personal. And I'll tell you, like, my, whatever you want to call it, stock, whatever, began to wane. And I think I even showed you the tweet they had issue with when I brought up that Democrats are going to use certain relationships that she had. The Pam Bondi was an epic disaster. Yeah. And that was Florida, defending Florida. They had that relationship together with Pfizer. Me pointing out the Democrats are going to come back and eat you for breakfast over this shouldn't be seen as a personal attack. It should be seen as, this is true, and correct it, or it's going to happen. And your job ultimately, because what are you doing when you're gatekeeping? You're supposedly protecting the president. Well, when you're doing that kind of shit, you're not protecting the president. You're leaving him exposed to criticisms of corruption and all sorts of stuff. So, it was unfortunate, but that's how it was, guys. They saw it as like, you're attacking Susie. You're attacking her personally. It's a personal attack. That's bullshit. This is the way it is, so like, deal with it. And if this, you can't, again, guys, like, I mean, if Mehmet II listened to the vizier, who blew smoke up his ass all the time, he would never have taken Constantinople. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, you can't have this sycophancy culture and this, like, if you have a different take or you have, a cautionary tale to tell, that it's some act of disloyalty or something. And that's bullshit. That's you being the way you can show your loyalty in the purest form is to always tell that leader, that person, the truth, even when it might insult them, it may hurt them, personally, it may piss them off or whatever it may be, when it's not popular, period, when it's not what they want to hear. That is the ultimate act of loyalty, not being a sycophant, not being concerned about, is Susie going to cancel my invite to the White House if I say this? It has to be said. It has to be said. End of story.
And to wrap up so remember to support the Florida Polling Project if you want honest, accurate public polling on that critical and essential state. And and if you want to meet Richard and I, talk about these third-party issues, for freedom issues, future of American politics. Bunch of folks. Judge Napolitano's going to try to come in. Joe Kent's going to try to come in. Andrew Alexander Christoforou and Alex McCorris are coming in from the Duran, from London and Cyprus alike. Jim Webb is coming
Joe's
in.
coming. I'll bust his balls.
Jim Webb is coming in. Dr. Bowden of the MAGA movement from Texas is coming in. Brooke Jackson of the Pfizer whistleblower is coming in. Speaking of the Pfizer MAGA issues, Michelle Renaud, who helped win office and achieved MAGA victories. The state of Tennessee is coming in. Chase Hughes of the was just on Joe Rogan about how to avoid and spot a CIA psyop is coming in. Greg Rouse is coming in. Scott Rouse and Greg Hartley are coming in from the behavior panel. So it's going to be a big fun event. Chattanooga, Tennessee, August 1st, August 2nd. About 15 to 20 hours of unique content of people who often never appear in the United States and rarely ever appear together for those that are with it for any kind of conference. And Richard and I will be there for and Viva will be there. So a bunch of like-minded people will be there talking about how to make a change in the modern world, how to identify opportunities, how to spot those opportunities, how to pursue those opportunities, but also supporting all the freedom causes and cases that 1776 Law Center supports, whether it's Kyle Rittenhouse, the Amish farmers, the Covington kids cases, the efforts against the surveillance state, and for food freedom, medical freedom, political freedom, and financial freedom. That's at 1776lawcenter.com. Just a few tickets left, so we have a hard cap. So just go to 1776lawcenter.com, get your tickets today, and we'll see you there the next time we see you.
I'm dropping it in the thing, which is why the screen's not going back super fast right away, but I'm dropping it in there. Yeah, it's low ticket warning now, Robert. Low ticket warning now. And you'll meet Laura.
There you go.
Oh my God. What? Yeah, you'll meet Laura if you go, because she's going to go with me without the children, by God, because we were debating that. But this last week, she was like, oh, no, I'm not going to Chattanooga with these kids. She wants to enjoy herself. And she's fans of a lot of these people and wants to, meet with them and talk with them. You said the one thing, it's very rare you get the behavior panel together like this. Members of the behavior panel, so fascinating. It's like, it's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Absolutely.
Right, I'll hit up local stuff, Robert, if you got to go. I'm going to hit up the local stuff. My soup's too hot anyway, so I need a minute for it to cool down. So I'll answer that. But, yeah, brother, go, as usual. You tell people, sportspicks.locals.com, all that, but the link's in the description, Yep.
All right, exactly. Thanks, everybody.
Right. Robert Barnes, everyone. See you later, buddy. All right, I do have a message for Rocket Boy. And it says, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Oh, no, he made an AI. Oh, he went for the ransom fund. That's his response. Thank you. And the quote from Martin Luther King. There's a whole story you guys will hear at soon. All right, hope for better on locals. And I looked like, oh, wow, that scrolled since then. But I'll start with you, hope for better, because I just did it. Why fight for fair elections when we just slide a sister into an empty seat? Do elections even matter? I know, that's the thing. She's going to finish out his term, but it's just the optics of it is piss poor. Really, really bad. Trump, again, with an egregious miscalculation and a terrible mistake. A lot of comments about Lindsey Graham's sister, huh? It's too bad for Lindsey Graham's final moments weren't on the front lines of Ukraine or Gaza, fulfilling what brought him the most pleasure in life. But he probably had a heart attack banging. You want me to say this? You almost vivid me. But he probably had a heart attack banging a 12-year-old boy in a Mickey Mouse hat, and that'll be good enough. And that'll have to be good enough. Oh, Lord. Oh, my God. Oh, boy. Locals. I love you guys. Live in Massachusetts near the New Hampshire border. We're getting John Sununu ads nonstop on streaming. We'll probably look back and say the NRSC money spent on his race could have delivered victory for Paxton. Will be another Lisa Murkowski 2022 and Larry Hogan 24. Oh, yeah. And he voted for the Iraq War last time he was in the Senate. I don't know what the hell they're wasting that money on, man. Jury, I don't know what they're doing. Incredibly stupid. All right. New Hampshire, also like North Carolina in the sense where you can put up all those voter registrations all you want. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't mean you're going to have some kind of advantage because independents are extremely left-leaning. Now, in North Carolina, they're not, but they are this year. And I'm very concerned that they're going to vote so Democratic this year that it may have a lasting impact. In New Hampshire, they are just left-leaning, period. That's how we got Baldak wrong. Well, semi-wrong. We didn't have him winning. He was going to lose. But Baldak looked like it was going to be closer than it was. Independents came out, number one, in slightly larger numbers than we forecasted in the poll. And number two, he was losing them by a lot larger. I think he was only losing by like 7 or 9 points. He wound up losing them by like 15 points. It's not good. Now they can shift in New Hampshire, like Trump barely lost them in New Hampshire. Let me see if, real quick, let me see, and let me end this real quick. Let me take this because I have a second anyway. I have a little bit extra time. So I do have to check on a poll I'm doing for a client in a little bit. But, okay. Let's go to 2024 exit polling. I don't know if we have New Hampshire in our database. I don't think they did it because they didn't expect it to be competitive. They did not. All right, let me see if 2024 VoteCast New Hampshire. I know they did some primaries, but that was about it. Maybe I have to put in AP to get the thing to trigger. All right. No, just the primary. Okay. Because I know they stopped. We tried to get them, but they were like, sorry, we're just not going to do it this year because we tried to pay for AP Vocast for you guys. Trump barely lost this state again. But I'm just looking at it. Unfortunately, we don't really have moderate Republican middle. All right, it shifted quite a bit. How voters in New Hampshire move between elections. Okay, high Republicans moved considerably. High Democrats moved to the right too, from D plus 40 to D plus 36. Moderate Democrats moved from D plus 18 to D plus 10. The middle moved from D plus 7 to R plus 1. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. Potentially. But again, it is just a explore more AP Vocast findings. Let me see if we do have this. Oh, we do. Ooh. Age, education, race, ethnicity, location, gender, and age. Men by race, women by race. Why did they do this like this? That's weird. Oh, that's not New Hampshire. That's various things. Okay. So that would make sense then. I don't know why is that the middle thing though? Yeah, the middle thing was New Hampshire. So it went from Biden winning the middle, which isn't NPA or independent. It's not the same thing. It's how they identified when the exit pollster asked them. So it is slightly different, but it's a good question. It's an interesting topic. The Chunkster said, I'm starting the Zoomer X.com party, the Zoomer party to advocate for the interest of Generation Z independent populist voters. Not an official political party, not yet, but will be leading the way in messaging, policy, and personnel. That's cool. And that's, by the way, past due, like about time kind of thing. Because there's no voice, like millennials and down don't have a voice. Boomers are just drowned out. You know, Owen Schroyer put something up the other day when Lindsey Graham died that you can tell that the talking points from cable news are now all over X. They realized something, that they had like lost a social media war. And believe me, it's so funny because they didn't do it for domestic policy that helps you. They did it to get the Israel first message back in front of certain people that they were losing or lost. Anyway, that largely still represents later Gen X and boomers and silent gens. It doesn't represent you. So it really is about time. Robert, you can anticipate Trump following the same pattern of crying uncle again within the month. Yeah, I mean, there's no military solution here. This is just a matter of whatever. Will the deaths of Graham and McConnell, question mark, be the turning for the better, relatively speaking, in the 2026 midterms? Maybe. Like that, we did talk a little bit about that there is like a chance here for Republicans to fix themselves. Okay, you seriously want me to be the heroin addict, right? You know I can't handle your disappearances. Here's another laugh for you. I was mocking Levin to Boomer BF. Pinched my nose to give that nasally sound to Levin. Played it up in an extraordinary way. Boomer was eerily quiet. I said, don't tell me you like Levin. Of course he did. Told me he's super constitutional and blah, blah, blah. Bulls. Swear if I wasn't so open-minded, I'd dump his stupid ass. You got to be open-minded, though, with other people's point of views, right? And in truth, Laura and I don't always agree on everything, and that's a good thing. You know, like the left and now increasingly the right on the Israel First side, which I don't think is right-wing. I think they're very leftist in nature, by the way. Speaking of which, you know, I'm just going to do this. This dude, I'm away in Virginia Beach. I don't even see this DM, all right? This is why I'm going to caution you not to break up with him over difference of views. Laura and I didn't agree. Honestly, she was right a lot more than I was. She had the much more based position for a long time on certain things. And I came along to her side of it after a while. Now, there's examples of where she came along to me. She was super pro-Israel for a long time. I don't want to give away. I'm not going to do some of the things that other people are doing. Like, oh, well, when Charlie was alive, I could just tell you that, like, I know some of the things that have been said about Charlie's evolving views on Israel are true because I did talk to him about them. On both as a matter of this is how I feel, and also as a matter of this is how it's playing out in the public opinion world. Because of course he was smart and very, gave a concerted effort to maintain, connection to that, his finger on the pulse. I started to move because I'm listening to the voters. I tend to listen to voters a lot. Like they have changed my mind on a lot of things over the years. It's like the collective wisdom of Americans. And then I would say she was a little bit later than me. She used to defend them staunchly. I will say this though. She always did say she never bought the Judeo-Christian narrative. She always said this, they're an Eastern worldview. We are not. We are a Western worldview. Their history, their experience, their shared experience is an Eastern experience. And that's why they don't value certain things that we value. So this idea of Judeo-Christian values, which you'll only find a couple of decades ago, it was made up 40 years ago. You'll only find that because it's not really true. It's something you'll only find that, as in recent history because it's created. Here's a great example of it, by the way. I'm trying to embarrass the guy. I'm just trying to I've been friendly with this guy for years. And because I was in Virginia Beach and I didn't see something he wanted me to see and retweet, he fucking lost his mind, ended up blocking me and trying to delete it, right? We were having a conversation about how Massey and others who are opposed to foreign aid doesn't make him anti-Semitic because he's opposed to foreign aid. Massey's opposed to foreign aid to all countries, not just Israel. In fact, and this is the point I'm making, if you connect, listen, Israel First, especially the ethno-religious Jewish identifying part of Israel First, they can't separate this. And I told this to Tucker, which is what started that conversation. And I know this because these donors have told me this. So I don't know why this is even being debated. They came out of their mouths. They know it. They admit it publicly and privately. They cannot separate not supporting Israel with not being an anti-Semite. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't support foreign aid to Israel, it makes you anti-Semitic. Period. There's no way they can separate this in their minds. And my argument was, well, then you're calling a super majority of the country anti-Semitic because large majorities of this country do not support unfettered or whatever, foreign aid when we're broke ourselves. They don't. So you're like, if you add this, and this was my point to Tucker, this ever-expanding definition of what it means to be an anti-Semite, it now includes at least a supermajority, if not in some instances, 75, 80% of the damn population. Like, you have isolated everybody. I didn't see it. I was busy. And look, you could see the original thing was sent the day before, but that next message, I'm in Virginia Beach, dude, watching my daughter dance. Hi, neither you nor any of the other just worried about aid friends shared this tweet or similar data because you're all low-life, degenerate liars who just love to picket Israel while Islamists are eating this country up. Be blessed. And then block me before I even had a chance to respond because I just came back that weekend. And I was going to respond with what I publicly said on X, which is, this is why you're losing, you have lost. But this is why you have lost this public relations fight. We're not low-life degenerates. You're an ethno-religious supremacist who calls everybody names and ists and isms when they diverge from your opinion. And one of those opinions, which is held by many people in this country, which is becoming a majority, is that Islamists didn't hijack the Trump presidency and start a stupid war that the president campaigned against for 10 years. Islamists didn't do that. This is why you have lost. Not you're losing, you have lost. It's over. And I think you need to just start to accept yourself in that role. Instead of calling everyone else names like Mark Levin, it's in my DNA. You're an ethno-religious supremacist. Period. And by the way, Israel First has replaced the Democratic Party in the never-ending whiny bitch segment of political discourse in this country, which was wholly rejected by the American public. If you're not in agreement with somebody, you're constantly hysterical, that is a sign of leftism. You're a leftist. It's no different than how Democrats reacted when other people didn't support little boys cutting off their penises because they think they may be gay. Or schools and doctors helping little children cut off their penises and breasts because they're confused over their gender, which is not a real thing. They're confused over their sexual orientation. And if you had a problem with this, if you didn't think Michael Brown put his hands up and said, don't shoot, then you're an ism, you're a this, you're a that, you're a phobic, you're an ist, you're a blah, 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 blah. You've replaced Democrats because you're them now. You're now the hysterical name caller that the modern left, that Donald Trump was literally held up to oppose. You are now that. You have taken their spot. They are now the sane ones compared to you. And that's why America rejected you. You had another 10 years of your grift. You could have kept it going, pretending you were our greatest ally, pretending there's such a thing as Judeo-Christian values. You could have kept that up forever, pretending that neoconservatives are actually conservative when the real history shows they are not. Billy Crystal's daddy, another Israel First cuck, Billy Crystal's daddy was a Trotskyite. And he's the father of your modern school of thought. That's why Billy Crystal never opposed any of the domestic welfare programs, was never serious about cutting back the size and scope of government, and is in fact responsible for the largest expansion of government in modern history in the post 9/11 era. The Department of Homeland Security, the Patriot Act. That's why neoconservatives support the surveillance state, because these are all very Eastern ideas, not Western ideas of freedom, of a constitution, of a social contract, of liberty, forgiveness, mercy, justice. Those are Western principles. and dare I say, friendship. Because you'll stab your friend in the fucking back in a second. And that's why you're being vomited out of the mouths of the American public. And we're never going back. So enjoy it while you can. Enjoy your war. Because you won't be in power for a very long time. Already toxic on the American left. You had one little sliver of support left on the American right. And now you cut that too. $1 billion a year the state of Israel is spending now, almost $1 billion a year to try to influence the American public to salvage support because of the damage you guys have done. Not that I want my country ransacked by Islamists, but Dearborn just voted for Trump not 2 years ago. Islamists aren't destroying my country. They haven't captured my federal government. They're not holding up a real housing bill. They're not holding up deportations. Islamist donors pretending to be right-wing donors aren't the ones funding mass illegal immigration organizations. They're not the ones funding all of the mass illegal immigration that turned my home city into a third world shithole that now elects a real radical Islamist. They didn't do that. You did that for them. Bill Ackman of the world did that. The Miriam Adelsons of the world, the Sheldon Adelsons of the world, they did that. And that's the dirty little secret and why nobody would ever investigate those ICE protests. Not any real fashion, because you're going to find people like Bill Ackman and their fucking fingerprints all over it. And their bank accounts all over it. And everybody knows that in the circles. If you're so popular, why don't you tell the American people the truth? Doesn't mean we want Sharia law to be the law of the land, but let's assign the blame where it belongs. Islamists didn't destroy MAGA. Israel first did. Islamists aren't costing us the midterms in November. Israel first did. Islamists aren't destroying the future aspirations of the most talented politician we have on the right remaining in this country. Israel first is. Let's assign blame where it rightfully belongs. Regarding Epstein, Trump should have went on offense. He can say that, quote, Obama and his fixture, Catherine Rommel, Epstein's BFF, covered up Epstein's crimes. I locked him up. Instead, he betrayed us. A little hard to argue with that. All right. Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, Christmas came early this year. I don't celebrate it, but I also don't want to rewrite history. I'm not going to celebrate the life and career of that man or men like him. They are the reason for our downfall. The guy never voted against a Democratic appointee to the Supreme Court. Ketanji Jackson Brown. I never met a war he didn't like. Never met a brown kid he didn't want to bomb. Fuck that. I am not celebrating that man, and I'm not telling God when I die that I celebrated and raised up a legacy like that. I think we all need to be careful that those life reviews are right. Rich, I've heard this demographic in coastal Carolinas who moved from colder climates to halfbacks, liberal, wealthy white boomers who couldn't take the heat in Florida, so went halfway back to New England. That's true. And actually, Tim Scott once called me a halfback, or once predicted that I would be a halfback, as I was bitching and moaning about how hot it was, and that I would never, when's Christmas going to come, Laura? We don't have Christmas this year. And he was like, halfback incoming. I'm like, well, that's a halfback. And he was like, you're definitely going to be a halfback. We'll see you in South Carolina soon. He was wrong by one state, but he was right about the halfback syndrome. But yes, that is a true demographic. I wouldn't say they're all liberals, but a lot of them are. That is true. We're getting a lot of them here where I am, Blondie. And they're building condos and shit for them because of the importing of them. They're putting highway access points. They're ripping this place apart. I mean, it's not good. Rich and Robert, at what point do you have to help Tucker with his new party idea, or anyone F the GOP? Just let it go extinct and make way an alternative. Let's hope for better, and maybe Elon can accelerate it. Yeah. I'm on the verge of saying that is the right way to go. I am. And I think I probably am going to, I think honestly by 28, I probably will be on that page. I would be on it now. There's just not enough time. And that's because of the commenter. That's because of what, let me see if I can't find it. It's because of what Brian said on YouTube. This is just true. The betrayals, the source of the betrayals is the disconnect between the donor network, the donor class, and the base. They don't actually agree with anything that you believe in. They don't actually intend to deliver on anything that they promise you. They're lying to you. And the worst part about it is they know they are. They like to perpetuate this fraud, because if they solve a problem, they have nothing to promise to solve for you next time. They have literally said that to me. If David Giglio's in the audience, he knows of one exact thing. Kevin McCarthy himself and some of these other guys talking with these donors, stunning us. Like, yeah, we don't actually intend to solve the water issue. And by the way, one congressman who got elected and got sent to DC was even sworn in as a freshman congressman. Wouldn't give them his bill, wouldn't give them his vote on an omnibus bill or a continuing resolution or whatever it was. And he said, yeah, I will if you give me your word and your support on this water bill that I have that's going to save the Central Valley from all these droughts and help the Central Valley farmers. And Kevin and Paul laughed in his face. And they were like, dude, we don't actually fix problems like that. Then we have nothing to run on next year, dummy. They were so smug, arrogant, and cavalier about it. They don't actually intend to fix these. And you think the Rickett family, right? The Rickett, right? Or is it, no, what is the name of that family?
The family with the
In Florida. They wouldn't let Kevin do it if he wanted to. Not in Florida, in California.
Yeah,
It's not the Ricketts.
the ones that
Damn.
they own Palm, and then they also own
Yeah.
the Halo or little mandarins. What is it?
Yeah, but they have all the water in California. It's driving me crazy. You know.
I know. I did a whole report on it too, but my brain is blank right now.
Ryan, this weekend in Bedminster should be fun. Oh, Ryan, you know that, man. I hope all ears and hearts are open as Minnesota GOP continues toward conservative populism. We'll be electing a new party chairman this December. Ooh. And by the way, whenever you guys are ready to put that shindig together, of course, my good friend and current RNC committeeman will be running as chair. He is a young Black America First populist podcaster, has an incredible future. I love hearing that. I highly recommend both you and Robert interview him. I love hearing that. You have my number. Do me a favor and let's talk about that. Absolutely. The Res Knicks. Thank you.
That's it. Yep.
Can I thank you? Eot, can I thank you, bro? I hope I don't blow you up right there, but that was driving me freaking nuts, brother. Thank you so much. Wi-Fi. Oh, I read that before. So did Lindsey get his job in the South Carolina government? So did she get Lindsey his job in the South Carolina government? I mean, this is what he made sure is taking over her brother, that seat. Voc rehab officer. And then there's nothing against that. My friend John's a voc rehab for the VA. There's nothing against it. But I guarantee you, if I called up John right now and I was like, hey, brother, you want to be a senator? He'd be like, what the? No. I don't have any qualifications to do that. He was nice personally. I didn't know him personally. I'm a citizen, and he effed us at every turn, apparently for the love of the game and not for the money, since he has a low net worth. Yeah, it's such a lie. He hit his money really good. I love this comment, Philly Patriot. And no, Donald, we didn't golf with him either. We evaluated him by his fruits, which ain't much. Wow, here. Philly Patriots. Oh, here. Anyway, I won't celebrate a soldier joining the devil's ranks. Oh, here. Exactly. What does it say about us as a nation that we feel the need, instead of holding people's legacy to account, that we feel the need to rewrite and recreate a fictionalized version of them and then put on this charade? He's part of, and a pivotal part of, the biggest failed ruling class in U.S. history. They committed crimes against us and against others. How many hundreds of thousands of Iraqis are dead and maimed because of Lindsey Graham? How many children in Gaza, Muslim and Christian, are dead because of Lindsey Graham? How many Madonnas of the Donbass have been vaporized and or scorched holding their children because of Lindsey Graham? No, sir. And any fake-ass evangelical pastor or church leader celebrating the life of this man is a charlatan and a fraud. You're supposed to love your neighbor. Love others. Care for your neighbors. He ignored his neighbors and bombed every foreigner he could imagine. And there's worse, guys. There's worse. The personal life stuff, Robert was joking and we were making light of it. But some of it is downright evil. It's no wonder why some people don't want to get to the bottom of the Epstein class stuff. Epstein himself and his behavior. Why would you? At this point, I don't care if Republicans lose Congress. Let Collins and Husted get creamed in Maine and Ohio. Focus on getting candidates like Paxton across the finish line and not bleed out too bad in the House, gubernatorial and state legislative races. I honestly think like senators are such a big problem when they're bad and they're entrenched. So honestly, Jonathan, I'm with you on this because like it'll be just defeat the Democrat later. But if you put in a Republican now, and that Republican gets entrenched, like Andy Barr is going to come back and haunt you for years, Kentucky. Thank you, Donald Trump. Giving Nate Morris a shitty appointment as an ambassadorship, which is up when you're out. Real disgusting. I can't wait to tell you guys this story. I'm just getting texted and texted and texted. I mean, it is the same person. It is. It is the same one, 100%, bro. I'm telling you right now, like you basically can't believe any polls right now. I'm telling you right now. One I happen to know doesn't even have access to their software and their data, so I don't know how they're polling anything. Yet they're putting out numbers, which happen to be miraculously better for the president. 10 years of my life trying to make this industry. As I told locals earlier today, I'm the father of alternative independent polling. I am literally the founder of the polling critic industry and the alternative non-legacy polling industry. Nobody else would even be around right now if it wasn't for me. I'm tired of being modest. 10 years of my life, more, 12 now of my life to try to force left-wing legacy university media and institutional pollsters to be honest and accurate. And now I got to deal with this shit from the right. You were supposed to be better. And they're all doing it off of me because without me, they wouldn't even be around. Able to share the Minnesota Dem primary results. Also notice almost everyone who went to Ukraine before the war is dead. Guess a certain Minnesota senator might be next for the Zelensky curse. Ooh, I didn't even think of that. I'll put them out. I got to put them out. I don't know why I didn't put them out yet. We've done it twice now, as you know. I have to ask about the gubernatorial side. Okay, I do. I have to ask about the gubernatorial side because that technically wasn't like independent. But I can tell you, man, I'll message you, okay, privately, because I don't think that would matter. But I don't know. I'll have to have a conversation. But the Senate and stuff like that and the general election stuff, I did that on my own. So that I could do. As far as the Senate, where is it? Andrew Craig, plus 13. Peggy Flanagan is in second, but she's down 13 points. Andrew Craig is the harder candidate to beat. Flanagan is beatable. Craig is going to take some work. That's just a reality. In the Democratic side of the, I'll message you them. I know what you want. I know I do. But I will give them to you. Like I'll just run it by somebody. I'll give it to you privately. Okay. Because I can't say like the leader, second place, third place. It's just, then it won't matter anymore. And I might as well just rattle off the rest, but I really have to kind of be careful and, I'll tell you privately. Okay. Strangely, let me just look at this. On the Republican side, by the way, it's Tafoya, Michelle Tafoya. She's ahead. Royce White is in second, but Tafoya, this is the second time we have had Tafoya ahead. She's ahead by it's a good amount. It is. It's like 16 points. And that concerns me because I'm a little worried Tafoya can't get out. You'd have to rely on, like, if Mike Lindell gets the nomination, you'd have to rely on him to get out these voters that Tafoya can't get out. And then I'd be, you got to make sure that the ticket split is, 95-5 up and down the ticket. That's going to be the biggest challenge in Minnesota, depending on who they nominate. But the only one who's going to bring out the voter that Royce White could bring out, because they're not going to come out later for Tafoya. They're just not unless they want to come out to vote for like Mike Lindell. That's about it. So I do know that I'll message it to you, man. I know what you're looking for, but that's the governor's side. And as you well know, I am polling for a candidate in that race. So like, I need to be careful. Yeah. Okay, so you're planning to advocate anyone who votes for me to not vote blue, no matter who. Do not settle for less than they believe they deserve. I think we really all need to start with that message, because these parties and Democrats are less guilty of this, but they're not listening either. Quality Leering Center. Sure, get out of here. This is funny. And you sent a pic. No kids allowed. Quality Leering shirt. 612. That shirt's hilarious. I love it. McConnell, 4 weeks hospitalized, no diagnosis, no hospital name. Feinstein got just say I. Thurman held his seat from Walter Reed, then the auto pen, no mechanism to check, except there is KRS 446 point dash period 400, which defines death. The 17th Amendment commands Bashir to act on it. Yeah, he's going to get, guys, Bashir's going to get away with this. This is why I'm flipping out the way I am. Andrew, you're 100% correct. Bashir is going to win this fight. Kentucky Republicans crafted this law like morons. If McConnell is not pushed out by the first week of August, this is going to be a disaster. You're going to get a Democrat. You are. If Trump is with Larry Loomer, why not Lindsey Graham? I think Trump is not the man he was. He does not care about the country, much less the GOP. Is worse than most of his critics said. A greedy traitor is happy to destroy America with his associates. Why would any honest senator not vote to remove Trump? He seems to be guilty of a lot of impeachable stuff, and overlooking that for someone as disloyal as he has been is is doubly stupid. If Dan's will protect Trump no matter what, that speaks very poorly of him. Yes, the establishment won't protect him, but either should America first. Only his co-conspirators should be interested in him staying in the White House. That's a good point. That's a fair point. But you need Trump to think that, man. You know what I mean? I can't say this enough. I keep seeing this shit in the chat. Let me reply to the Hightower. Voting D or letting them win by default, not voting, will not punish ours or Trump when it burns down. We will be the only ones suffering in the ashes. All D's care about is power. This is the great debate, isn't it? Once they get it, they will solidify it. Look at California. At every blue state, we'll never get out of it. We win by voting in good R's, and they are out there, also in the Freedom Caucus. This is the great debate. P. Pickens cute. I'm P. Pickens cute, which I love. P. Pickens cute, which I absolutely love that name. Always takes that side of the argument, while others like Owen or like maybe even Robert. I don't want to give you Robert and not Robert Barnes or Robert on Locals. I don't want to give. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I imagine you're on Owen's side of the argument with that. But P. Pickens cute argues that it's not really punishing them. It's punishing us because we're the ones who are going to suffer. I will say this, though, P. Picken, that if Republicans would just freaking govern as they said they would govern, states like California are reversible, but they can't do what they're doing because then we keep losing the more non-white votes. So California has been, I know people, think it's crazy, but California has been shifting to the right. And I thought I just heard the door. Yeah, it was. I'm sorry. She probably understands what I'm doing here. I'm a little bit late. I'm 43 minutes late, but I just wanted to get through the Locals comments because, and that's the, let me see. Let me go to the next part of what she was saying. I get why Trump is tanking. I'm totally pissed the F off at him. This is not the golden age. It's so not the golden age. It's the damn gilded age whereby shit is covered by fake gold. We will be totally effed if D's get in power. You can't accelerate communism and expect to ever vote yourself back out of it. We will be royally effed. We can kiss our country goodbye. For the love of God, people need to wake the F up already. I mean, that's an argument. It is. I mean, that's the great debate right now. That if it does go and it's gone, we won't get it back. By the way, guys, just for the record, don't forget, we did do this study. Okay. It's on Big Data Poll right now. It's super interesting, whether you're interested in this topic or not, but it is very, very interesting topic. Okay. One of the more interesting things about it is there's this like, I gotta do, you know what? We'll leave this for what inside the numbers on Wednesday. I think we'll do that. But there's a claim that we were basically able to verify from the disclosure people. And that's probably what we're going to talk about along with the news and stuff on Wednesday. The Sage of Florida coming into poll. Yeah, we just need to get it. We need to get it funded here. Taking over Fran Seltzer. Sorry for Fabrizio tactics. Transfer my silly little head. Gets it mixed up. Mark my words. If JD makes a split with Trump and gives a voice to people like me, angry OG MAGA and new MAGA Hispanics, your decision to make a stand right now in Florida will matter come 2028 when everyone is saying insert them will win. Yeah, I'm playing the long ball here, Andrew. I know it's hurting me right now. I know it is, but I'm playing the long game, and I'm going to win this. I'm going to win it. And eventually, I think, honestly, people will wind up coming back and like somewhat bending the knee, But yeah, I mean, it has to be done. LB, that's a cute picture because I was reading your thing. And so LB says, happy late 4th of July. She gets me through my frustration with Boomer, BF, GOP, and Trump. But we still can't give into a defeatist attitude that votes for D's or gives it to them by default. Kara was at our Texas school board hearing, demanded they change our textbooks to reflect the facts that the Alamo was inspired by Islamic architecture and that the Alamo was to honor Islam. They also demanded we take George Washington's prayer out. Yeah. Texas is responsible for 18 to 21 state textbooks. Oh, dear God. Yeah. All right. Rich Robert, I volunteered to help my former state rep win back her state house seat in Oklahoma against the establishment back incumbent, putting flyers up on a couple hundred doors. She was part of a roster for candidates who refused to take lobbyist money. It was an uphill fight, but she ended up losing the June 16th primary by 40 points. Whoa. Wow. Woof. Need more. Yeah. I don't know that specifically. I'd have to look into that. I'm way behind on tonight's episode, but is there any way to get a signed copy of your book when it comes out? Yes. Yes, there will be. Casey, there will be. Stay tuned on that, actually. I have to go and ask for clarification of this from the publisher. I don't want to do those things that a lot of people do, which is like buy tons of their books and then put up like signed copies that are like more expensive. You know, like that's what I was trying to get my hold of a couple advanced copies to give out at the event. But there will be a chance. There will also be events where, listen, I'm just going to blow it up right now. We're going to hold, Laura's putting it together. We're going to hold an event and it's going to be in New Bern. So if there's a way for you guys to make it out there, you can bring your copy. I will sign it. Laura wants me to basically do a survey for you guys, asking you when these dates, because it's not easy to put together. We have a perfect place to hold it here. They want me to hold it here. They want me to bring attention to the town. And they have a place. It's beautiful, and it's on the water. It's on the river. It's absolutely beautiful. You guys would love the quaint little town. But like Robert puts together these events, we have to make sure other people. I want a Christmas kind of party, but Laura's like, people aren't going to travel during the holidays. I was like, well, how about a New Year's party? Because we have instead of a ball, we have a bear, because that's the town mascot. It's the city mascot. And they'll accommodate us and everything. And the bear comes down from town. It's really cool. And I'm like, people wouldn't have to drive, and they'd be able to just like walk to their rooms, you know? But that would be taken away from people's family time. So Laura's like, nope, it's going to have to be in between one of these things, even if you want it to be holiday inspired. The town would rather it be, listen, this place holds this thing called Mumfest, and like hundreds of thousands of people come here because of Mumfest. It's crazy. The fall is their thing. Christmas is their thing. They like it. And that is definitely, if they had a say in it, that is when they would want us to bring people into town to see the town. So I just love the holiday season, and I love fall. And this is also going to be the last year that my family is going to be all together before one of my children goes away to college. So I want to do a lot of special stuff this year. And Laura's like, you just can't have it in between holidays. You can't have it on holidays or near holidays. And that's true. I know I can't, but it sucks because I did initially have the idea of basically throwing a giant Christmas party. Let's go. The People's Pundit Christmas Party. Christmas convention. What? The People's Pundits Christmas convention. Bring everybody in. You know, I'll have some of the TPUSA family come. We'll have, the Barnes and Viva family come. It's be fun, man. Maybe I'll see if even some of my old Israel First friends will come, since once upon a time we were friends. But if not, they can stay home. And maybe even a very special guest who is very hard to get to come. But if that very special guest is in town for something else he's likely to be in town for, it is possible to get him to come by. So, yeah. But again, that would be during the holidays, closer to the holidays. I don't know. But yeah, the short answer to that, Casey, is yes, there will be a way to get the signed copy, multiple ways. And there's another platform that when that comes out, I think we'll be able to sell them signed through that platform. So stay tuned. I'll get you an answer to that. But either way, if you do pre-order it and it comes, I could probably even swap it out for you, and send you one. Anticipating. Oh, I got there already? Really? And the rest are memes and stuff. The memes are hilarious. Kosher Sex, USA Now with his memes. Kosher Sex, and it's Graham unboxing a butt plug. Oh my God, bro. That's AI. And oh my God, it's more than him unboxing it. Huh? Oh my God. I got to tell Laura, you have to look at the locals comments section where the tips are And USA Now has a meme of Graham unboxing a special present. It's hilarious. I wish I could show this live, but I'll get a strike from YouTube if I. Oh my god, the cleaning lady to the hotel is literally coming to the door. Oh, where did you get this, bro? That meme was that long. I'm watching it as I'm typing. Oh my god, that's so funny. You guys are too much. The other one I can show, it's Lindsey Graham with his no, I mean Mitch McConnell. Hold on. Let's see if I can put this up. Laura, did you get my text? You gotta see this meme. You gotta see this meme, baby. Hold on. This one's funny. Wait. You got wait though. That's not even it. I'm gonna show that one to them. I can't show them this one. While I show them the McConnell one, I'll show you it. Hold on. Image file. It's an image, right? Not a video. There it is. A GIF. Oh, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Come on, dude. This is too much. Let's let it play like 2 or 3 times in case people miss it. I did play the Thriller one earlier today. Yep. Oh, that's so funny. Look at this one, though. Here's Lindsey. Kosher unbox. He's unboxing his kosher sex delivery. Yeah, look at what it is. I can't show it. No, but look. Wait, it's not done. Oh, God. Wait, it's not done. It's not done. Look, here comes the cleaning lady. What's going on in there? Boom! She runs down the hallway. It's not right. It's hilarious. I can't show it. Locals. Hey, that's a good. Hey, USA Now is now giving people a reason to go and subscribe to my locals so they can go and see the memes that he puts in the comment because I can't put it in there. Peoplespundit.locals.com. All right. With that in mind, thanks to the new members, by the way. Really appreciate it. A couple gave away memberships too and subscriptions. That's awesome. Lisa, welcome aboard. Really appreciate you guys' support. All the super chats, tips, rants, and the like. I want to make sure I just didn't miss anything, right? I did not miss anything. No. Okay. We'll be back on Wednesday for, of course, Inside the Numbers. We'll be back more tomorrow with some road rages on locals. And on YouTube, I'm going to figure out how to get those onto you. All right. If you're a YouTube member, I'm going to figure out how to get that onto you. We are going to start putting more up on YouTube. We do shorts already and stuff, but like some of the other stuff, we're going to try to figure out how to get those over. What else? I'm feeling like I'm missing something. Looks like I'll be, you know what? Any kind of appearances once we get them together, we may not. Oh, they know that. They know that already. Friday may be tough, but if not, like I said, we'll make it up in between because I know we're traveling. Plus, we will not have the kids in this next trip, so there will be easier to stream to like road rage. We may even just drive in because we drove to her cousin's wedding in New York and it wasn't that bad. It was kind of fun to get away together. But so we'll probably wind up doing that. Maybe we'll leave the car here for the kids and rent another one to take. But like I said, still easier without the kids to road rage whenever we want. Wednesday, we'll talk about the poll that we didn't get a chance to talk about that came out on Independence Day. I think, like I said, whether you're normally interested in this topic or not, I think you'll love it. By the way, quite frankly, he keeps asking, that poll was really interesting to him, and he asked when I can come on and talk about it. So you got to get with Frank, figure that out. Because, yeah, I do want that poll to get around. It got around the administration. I'll also tell you a story about what the administration tried to do on this topic, gathering people together to try to brainstorm on some things and what became of it, which was a very interesting story that nobody seems to have reported on. I cannot believe it because it's a huge story. Yeah, so I guess, with that in mind, I'm going to kick rocks. Don't forget, burn it down. The link is in the description. The book gets more prescient every day. The thesis gets more like provably true every single day. We talk so much about it recently. So don't forget to pre-order it. The link is in the description as always, or you could scan it right here. Hold on. Try to get a few copies. Somebody asked about signing it. We're going to try to get a few copies for the law conference.
There it is right there. If you're watching on your TV or somewhere else and you want to scan it, you can scan it right there. It'll bring you right to the Amazon. There was something else I wanted to say, but something's slipping my mind. I'll have to come back to you guys with it. But as usual, you can follow us on Locals, peoplespundit.locals.com, peoplespundit.locals.com. That's probably the best place, I would say. And then on X at peoples_pundit. On Instagram is underscore, isn't it, babe? It's on underscore, isn't it?
For Insta?
Insta is
Yes.
underscore.
It's
Yeah.
the same as your X.
X. So yeah, on X and on Instagram, peoples_pundit. On Getter and on Truth, just People's Pundit. And with that in mind, I'm going to kick rocks and play our outro. And I'll see you guys. I'll see all of you on Wednesday, of course. I'll see you guys on the subscription channels tomorrow for Road Rages. All right, guys. Have a great night. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, as usual, for watching. Don't forget to like and share, like and share, like and share. Number love for you. See you guys soon. Deuces. And don't forget to go check out the big data poll and how would Americans handle disclosure. So, you want to come and say goodbye?
Deuces!
Hey, good job. Bye.